Over the next 3 hours, we'll travel through millions of years, watching oceans rise and fall, witnessing the birth of mountains, and standing face to face with the creatures that once ruled the earth. Beneath the ground, you walk on lies an ancient time capsule, layer upon layer of rock and sediment, each one a piece of Earth's forgotten past. Imagine peeling back these layers like pages in a giant history book, revealing lost worlds teeming with life, both strange and familiar. But we're not just looking back. We're digging into some of the biggest mysteries science has yet to fully explain. What processes led to the formation of Earth, and how did the planet evolve from a molten state to a habitable environment? The story of Earth's formation begins approximately 4.5 billion years ago, when the solar system was a chaotic swirl of gas, dust, and debris. The process that eventually formed Earth, known as accretion, involved particles of dust and rock colliding and sticking together, gradually growing larger through repeated impacts. Over time, these impacts formed planetesimals, small, solid bodies that were the building blocks of planets. As these planetesimals grew, gravity pulled them into increasingly larger bodies, culminating in the formation of Earth. However, early Earth was a far cry from the blue planet we know today. In its earliest stage, Earth was a molten mass, with temperatures so high that the surface was dominated by oceans of lava. This period, known as the Hadean Eon, saw Earth continuously bombarded by meteorites and asteroids, one of which, according to current theories, led to the formation of the Moon. When a Mars-sized body, Theia, collided with the young Earth, it blasted debris into space, which eventually coalesced into our satellite. The intense heat from this impact further melted Earth's surface, but also played a role in differentiating its internal structure, forming the iron-rich core and the silicate mantle. As the planet began to cool, water vapor that had been released from volcanic activity condensed, forming the first oceans. This cooling process took millions of years, and with it came the solidification of Earth's crust. Over time, Earth's atmosphere began to develop, initially composed of hydrogen, helium, methane, and ammonia, gases far too toxic for life as we know it. The turning point came with the advent of volcanic outgassing, which released carbon dioxide, nitrogen, and water vapor into the atmosphere, setting the stage for the formation of a more stable climate. The development of Earth's magnetic field was also a crucial step in making the planet habitable. Generated by movements within the molten iron core, the magnetic field protects the planet from harmful solar winds and cosmic radiation, preventing the stripping away of the atmosphere, a fate that befell our neighbor Mars. As Earth's surface cooled further, tectonic plates began to form, leading to the continental drift and the eventual shaping of continents and oceans. In this way, Earth transitioned from a hellish molten state to a stable planet capable of supporting life. The combination of water, atmosphere, and protection from cosmic radiation created the right conditions for life to eventually emerge, marking the beginning of Earth's long journey as a habitable world. How did Earth's early collisions with celestial bodies contribute to the planet's ability to support life? The early solar system was a violent, chaotic place, with planetary bodies constantly colliding and merging. For Earth, these collisions were both destructive and formative, playing a crucial role in shaping the planet into a habitable world. One of the most significant impacts was the collision with Theia, a Mars-sized object that crashed into Earth early in its history. This cataclysmic event did more than just form the Moon. It fundamentally altered Earth's composition and long-term habitability. When Theia collided with Earth around 4.5 billion years ago, the immense heat from the impact melted both bodies, resulting in the mixing of their materials. This collision is believed to have created Earth's relatively large iron core, which contributes to its strong magnetic field. The magnetic field is critical for life, as it shields the planet from harmful solar and cosmic radiation. Without this protection, solar winds would have stripped away Earth's atmosphere, leaving the surface exposed to deadly radiation and making it nearly impossible for life to develop. The formation of the Moon also helped stabilize Earth's axial tilt, which created a more consistent climate over millions of years. A stable climate is crucial for maintaining the delicate balance necessary for the development of ecosystems and the evolution of complex life. But the benefits of early collisions didn't stop with the formation of the Moon. During Earth's formative years, it was constantly bombarded by smaller planetesimals, meteorites, and comets, which delivered key materials that would later prove essential for life. Many scientists believe that these celestial impacts brought water to Earth in the form of ice-laden comets. While Earth's volcanic activity also released some water vapor into the atmosphere, the bombardment by icy bodies added significant amounts of water, gradually forming the oceans that became the cradle for early life. The oceans provided the perfect environment for the first simple life forms to evolve, setting the stage for the development of complex organisms billions of years later. These collisions also contributed to the presence of vital elements such as carbon, nitrogen, and phosphorus, which are necessary for life as we know it. These building blocks of life were delivered to Earth by asteroids and comets, enriching the planet's surface and oceans with the materials required for the formation of DNA, proteins, and cell structures. Additionally, the heat generated by these collisions helped drive volcanic activity, which released gases that contributed to the formation of Earth's early atmosphere, another key component for sustaining life. In summary, Earth's early collisions with celestial bodies were instrumental in shaping its ability to support life. These impacts provided the building blocks for the atmosphere, oceans, and the magnetic field, crucial elements that made Earth a habitable planet. How did Earth's atmosphere transition from being dominated by toxic gases to one rich in oxygen? In the earliest days of Earth, the atmosphere was vastly different from the life-sustaining air we breathe today. Initially, Earth's atmosphere was composed of toxic gases like methane, CH4, ammonia, NH3, carbon dioxide, CO2, and hydrogen sulfide, H2S, which would have made the planet uninhabitable for most forms of life. This hostile atmosphere, however, began to change gradually over millions of years, leading to the oxygen-rich environment we now know. This transformation was a result of complex geological and biological processes, the most important of which was the evolution of photosynthetic organisms. The first step in this atmospheric transformation occurred as the Earth cooled and volcanic outgassing began. Early volcanic eruptions released large amounts of gases, including carbon dioxide, nitrogen, and water vapor, into the atmosphere. Water vapor condensed to form the oceans, but carbon dioxide and nitrogen remained in the atmosphere. At this point, oxygen was still absent, and Earth was dominated by carbon dioxide, which created a greenhouse effect that kept the planet warm. Nitrogen, which today makes up 78% of the atmosphere, began to accumulate, but still, the air was unsuitable for breathing. The major turning point in Earth's atmospheric evolution came with the rise of cyanobacteria, simple organisms capable of photosynthesis. These microorganisms appeared about 3.5 billion years ago and began to harness sunlight to convert carbon dioxide and water into organic matter, releasing oxygen as a byproduct. This process, known as oxygenic photosynthesis, marked the first time oxygen was produced in significant quantities on Earth. However, it took hundreds of millions of years before this oxygen began to accumulate in the atmosphere. Much of the early oxygen produced by cyanobacteria was absorbed by iron in Earth's oceans, forming iron oxide, rust, and creating massive banded iron formations on the ocean floor. It wasn't until around 2.4 billion years ago, during the period known as the Great Oxygenation Event, GOE, that oxygen began to accumulate in the atmosphere. By this time, the supply of iron in the oceans had been depleted, allowing free oxygen to escape into the air. The oxygen level in the atmosphere gradually increased, but this was not without consequences. The rise of oxygen led to one of Earth's first mass extinction events, as many anaerobic organisms, which did not require oxygen, were poisoned by the new atmosphere. At the same time, the presence of oxygen allowed for the formation of the ozone layer, O3, which protected Earth's surface from harmful ultraviolet radiation, enabling more complex life forms to evolve. This transition from a toxic, reducing atmosphere to an oxygen-rich one was a slow but transformative process. It paved the way for the evolution of complex multicellular organisms, ultimately leading to the diverse ecosystems we see today. The increase in oxygen levels also allowed for the development of aerobic respiration, a far more efficient process of energy production, which powered the rise of more complex and energy-demanding life forms. In conclusion, Earth's atmospheric transition was a gradual and intricate process driven by both biological innovation, primarily the evolution of photosynthesis, and geological changes. It transformed Earth from a planet with a hostile, toxic atmosphere into a world capable of supporting a rich diversity of life. What role did cyanobacteria and other early life forms play in the transformation of Earth's atmosphere? Cyanobacteria played an essential and transformative role in shaping Earth's atmosphere, acting as the primary drivers of oxygen production during Earth's early history. These simple, microscopic organisms are among the earliest known life forms on Earth, and they are credited with producing the first significant amounts of oxygen through the process of photosynthesis. Without the activity of cyanobacteria and similar early life forms, the Earth's atmosphere would have remained dominated by carbon dioxide and methane, gases that are inhospitable to most modern forms of life. Cyanobacteria emerged in Earth's oceans around 3.5 billion years ago and quickly became widespread. These organisms performed oxygenic photosynthesis, a process that uses sunlight to convert carbon dioxide and water into glucose and oxygen. In the beginning, much of the oxygen they produced did not enter the atmosphere. Instead, it reacted with iron in the oceans, forming iron oxides that settled to the seafloor, creating what are now known as banded iron formations. This process removed the free iron from the oceans, and only after millions of years, when the iron supply was depleted, did oxygen begin to accumulate in the atmosphere. Cyanobacteria were not the only organisms involved in this atmospheric transformation. Other early life forms, such as algae, also contributed to oxygen production. However, cyanobacteria are recognized as the primary contributors to the Great Oxygenation Event, which began around 2.4 billion years ago. This event was a major turning point in Earth's history, marking the first time oxygen became a significant component of the atmosphere. Prior to this event, Earth's atmosphere contained virtually no free oxygen, making it impossible for aerobic organisms to exist. As cyanobacteria continued to produce oxygen, the levels of this gas slowly increased, eventually reaching a tipping point that fundamentally changed the planet. The rise of oxygen had both positive and negative effects on life. On the one hand, the accumulation of oxygen allowed for the evolution of aerobic respiration, a more efficient way of producing energy compared to anaerobic processes. This paved the way for the evolution of more complex, energy-demanding organisms, including multicellular life. On the other hand, the rise of oxygen led to a mass extinction of many anaerobic species, which thrived in oxygen-free environments and were poisoned by the increasing levels of oxygen in the air and oceans. This is one of the earliest examples of life dramatically altering the environment on a global scale. Another major consequence of the oxygen production by cyanobacteria was the formation of the ozone layer. As oxygen levels in the atmosphere rose, some of it was converted into ozone, O3, through the action of ultraviolet light. The ozone layer formed a protective shield around the planet, blocking harmful UV radiation from reaching Earth's surface. This allowed life to expand into more exposed environments, eventually leading to the colonization of land by plants and animals. In summary, cyanobacteria and other early photosynthetic organisms were instrumental in transforming Earth's atmosphere from one dominated by toxic gases into an oxygen-rich environment. Their production of oxygen not only enabled the rise of complex life, but also shaped the planet's climate and protective systems, making Earth the life-sustaining planet it is today. What specific conditions in Earth's early oceans allowed for the emergence of life? The emergence of life on Earth is believed to have taken place in its primordial oceans approximately 3.8 to 4 billion years ago. These early oceans provided a unique set of conditions that were critical for the development of the first simple life forms, particularly single-celled organisms. The specific combination of chemical richness, environmental stability, and physical protection offered by these early seas created the perfect environment for life to originate. One of the most important factors in the emergence of life was the abundance of water itself. Water acts as a solvent for a wide range of chemical reactions, making it an ideal medium for the complex chemistry needed to produce organic molecules. In Earth's early oceans, water allowed for the free movement and mixing of molecules, facilitating the formation of the first organic compounds, such as amino acids and nucleotides, which are the building blocks of proteins and DNA. This primordial soup theory suggests that life began when these molecules combined under the right conditions, forming the first protocells capable of replicating and evolving. Another critical factor was the availability of chemical elements such as carbon, hydrogen, nitrogen, oxygen, phosphorus, and sulfur, which are essential for life. These elements were abundant in the oceans due to the dissolution of minerals from the Earth's crust and volcanic activity, which released gases like methane, carbon dioxide, and ammonia into the atmosphere and oceans. Early oceans were rich in these chemicals, providing the necessary ingredients for life's origin. Hydrothermal vents located on the ocean floor are also thought to have played a pivotal role in the emergence of life. These vents release heat and chemicals such as hydrogen sulfide from deep within the Earth's crust, creating environments that could support the first life forms. The extreme heat and mineral-rich environment around hydrothermal vents could have provided the energy needed to drive the chemical reactions necessary for life to begin. Some scientists believe that life may have originated near these vents, where the temperature gradients and availability of nutrients created favorable conditions for early life forms to thrive. The ocean also provided protection from harmful ultraviolet (UV) radiation, which was a major threat to life on early Earth. At the time, Earth lacked an ozone layer, which means that the surface was bombarded by high levels of UV radiation from the sun. However, life in the ocean was shielded by the water, which absorbed much of the UV radiation and allowed early life forms to develop in relative safety. This protective effect was crucial for the stability and continuity of the first biological processes. In addition, the oceans provided a stable temperature environment, which is important for maintaining consistent chemical reactions. The specific heat capacity of water allows it to absorb and retain heat, creating a relatively stable climate for early life forms. This temperature stability would have been particularly important for the fragile protocells and other early life forms that were highly sensitive to environmental fluctuations. In summary, Earth's early oceans provided the ideal conditions for life to emerge, including an abundance of water and essential chemical elements, the presence of hydrothermal vents, protection from harmful radiation, and temperature stability. Together, these factors created a nurturing environment that allowed the first life forms to take root and begin the process of evolution that would eventually lead to the incredible diversity of life seen on Earth today. How did the chemistry of Earth's oceans influence the development of the first biological organisms? The chemistry of Earth's early oceans played a crucial role in the development of life, serving as a natural laboratory where essential chemical reactions could occur, leading to the formation of the first biological organisms. The specific mix of elements and compounds dissolved in the ancient seas provided the necessary ingredients for the creation of organic molecules, while certain environmental features, such as hydrothermal vents, supplied the energy required to fuel these reactions. Understanding how ocean chemistry influenced the origin of life provides insight into the earliest steps of biological evolution. One of the most important aspects of ocean chemistry was the availability of key elements like carbon, nitrogen, sulfur, phosphorus, and hydrogen, which are fundamental to all living organisms. These elements were dissolved in seawater, likely in the form of carbon dioxide, methane, ammonia, and hydrogen sulfide, released by volcanic activity and the breakdown of minerals in the Earth's crust. The early oceans acted as a reservoir for these chemicals, creating a nutrient-rich environment in which the building blocks of life, such as amino acids and nucleotides, could form. These compounds are essential for the construction of proteins, enzymes, and genetic material like RNA and DNA. The role of hydrothermal vents in ocean chemistry was particularly significant. Located along tectonic plate boundaries on the ocean floor, these vents release hot, mineral-rich fluids into the surrounding water, creating localized environments with high concentrations of chemicals like hydrogen sulfide, methane, and iron. The interaction between these chemicals and the cold ocean water near the vents generated steep chemical and temperature gradients, which could have provided the energy needed to drive early biochemical reactions. This theory, known as the deep-sea vent hypothesis, suggests that life may have originated around these vents, where the unique chemistry and energy availability created ideal conditions for the synthesis of organic molecules. Ocean chemistry also influenced the early development of biological membranes, a critical step in the formation of the first protocells. Fatty acids, which can form naturally in the presence of certain minerals, are known to self-assemble into lipid bilayers when exposed to water. These bilayers could have formed the first primitive cell membranes, encapsulating organic molecules and creating a contained environment for chemical reactions to occur. The early oceans provided a vast supply of these necessary chemicals, allowing for the spontaneous formation of protocells, which were the precursors to true living cells. Another important aspect of early ocean chemistry was its role in facilitating the replication of genetic material. RNA, which is thought to have been the first genetic molecule, is made up of nucleotides that likely formed in the chemical-rich environment of the oceans. Once RNA molecules formed, they may have begun self-replicating, a key step in the evolution of life. The presence of certain metal ions, such as magnesium and iron in seawater, would have stabilized RNA molecules, helping them to maintain their structure and function. These ions also acted as catalysts, speeding up chemical reactions and supporting the replication of genetic material. In addition, the high concentration of dissolved carbon dioxide in the early oceans may have played a role in regulating the pH levels, creating an environment favorable for biochemical reactions. The interaction between carbon dioxide and water creates carbonic acid, which in turn can release hydrogen ions, affecting the acidity of the water. This delicate balance in ocean chemistry would have been critical for maintaining the right conditions for early life forms to develop and thrive. In conclusion, the chemistry of Earth's early oceans provided the essential ingredients and environmental conditions needed for the development of life. From the availability of key elements and the catalytic role of metal ions to the energy supplied by hydrothermal vents, the oceans were the birthplace of the first biological organisms, setting the stage for the evolution of complex life. What factors triggered the Cambrian explosion, and why did life evolve so rapidly during this period? The Cambrian explosion, which occurred approximately 541 million years ago, represents one of the most significant evolutionary events in Earth's history. It marks a period of unprecedented diversification of life, where almost all major animal phyla appeared over a relatively short geological time frame, spanning around 20 to 25 million years. This rapid evolution has puzzled scientists for years, and multiple factors are believed to have contributed to this explosion of life. One key factor was the significant increase in atmospheric oxygen levels leading up to the Cambrian period. Prior to this, oxygen levels were much lower, limiting the size and complexity of life forms. As oxygen levels rose due to the activity of photosynthetic organisms such as cyanobacteria, larger and more complex multicellular organisms became viable. Oxygen is crucial for aerobic respiration, a more efficient way to produce energy compared to anaerobic processes. With more oxygen available, organisms could evolve more energy-demanding traits, such as muscles for movement or complex tissues for body structures, which allowed for the development of diverse and more complex life forms. Another important factor was the evolution of the genetic mechanisms that allowed for greater diversity. The emergence of regulatory genes, such as Hox genes, played a crucial role in the Cambrian explosion, Hox genes control the body plan of an organism during development, determining the positioning of limbs, segments, and other features. The appearance of these regulatory genes allowed for much greater variation in body forms and structures, leading to the development of new species with different shapes, sizes, and functions. This genetic flexibility provided the raw material for rapid evolutionary diversification. Predation is another theory that may explain the rapid evolution during the Cambrian explosion. Before the Cambrian period, most life forms were simple and passive, living primarily by filtering nutrients from the water. However, the emergence of predators during the Cambrian forced prey organisms to develop new defenses, such as hard shells, spikes, and other protective mechanisms. This predator-prey dynamic is believed to have driven an evolutionary arms race, where organisms rapidly evolved to outcompete one another. As prey adapted new defenses, predators in turn developed more advanced methods of hunting and consuming them, spurring further diversification. Changes in the Earth's environment may have also contributed to the Cambrian explosion. The breakup of the supercontinent Rodinia and the formation of new shallow seas created vast new marine habitats. These shallow seas provided a rich environment for life to thrive, with ample sunlight and nutrients. The availability of new ecological niches allowed organisms to diversify, filling a variety of roles within ecosystems, from filter feeders to active predators. Lastly, there may have been changes in the chemistry of the oceans that facilitated the emergence of more complex life. During the Cambrian, higher levels of calcium and other minerals became available in the oceans, which allowed organisms to form hard body parts like shells and exoskeletons. The development of hard structures not only provided protection from predators, but also allowed for greater structural support, enabling animals to grow larger and move more effectively. In conclusion, the Cambrian explosion was likely triggered by a combination of factors, including rising oxygen levels, the evolution of genetic regulatory mechanisms, the emergence of predation, environmental changes, and shifts in ocean chemistry. These elements together created the perfect conditions for life to diversify rapidly, resulting in the rich variety of forms that laid the foundation for modern ecosystems. What adaptations allowed the first vertebrates to transition from aquatic environments to life on land? The transition from aquatic to terrestrial life is one of the most profound evolutionary shifts in Earth's history. The first vertebrates, specifically early amphibians, made this move during the Devonian period, about 360 million years ago. This transition required a range of physiological, structural, and behavioral adaptations that enabled these creatures to survive and thrive in two radically different environments: water and land. Understanding these adaptations helps us trace the evolutionary journey from fish to amphibians and eventually to all land-dwelling vertebrates. One of the most critical adaptations was the development of limbs capable of supporting weight on land. Early vertebrates like Tiktaalik, a species that lived around 375 million years ago, displayed both fish-like and amphibian-like traits. Its fins had evolved into limb-like structures with bones similar to the shoulder, elbow, and wrist in modern land animals. This adaptation allowed these early vertebrates to crawl along the shallow waters and muddy banks, gradually making it possible to venture onto land. Over time, these proto-limbs evolved into fully functional legs, enabling better mobility on terrestrial surfaces. The evolution of lungs played a crucial role in the transition from water to land. Most fish rely on gills to extract oxygen from water, but the first vertebrates to venture onto land needed a different respiratory system. Some fish, including lungfish and early tetrapods, four-limbed vertebrates, developed lungs in addition to gills, allowing them to breathe air. These lungs likely evolved from the swim bladders of fish, which are air-filled sacs used to control buoyancy in water. The ability to breathe air enabled these early vertebrates to survive in environments where water was scarce or oxygen levels in water were too low. Eventually, this dual respiratory system gave rise to fully functional lungs in amphibians, making them well suited for life on land. The development of strong, bony skeletons was another important adaptation. While aquatic animals are buoyed by water, making movement and support easier, terrestrial animals require robust skeletal systems to support their bodies against the pull of gravity. Early vertebrates that transitioned to land developed stronger vertebral columns and limb girdles, the bones connecting the limbs to the spine, allowing them to move and support their bodies efficiently on solid ground. This stronger skeleton also helped protect vital organs from impact or injury, as these creatures began navigating a more physically demanding terrestrial environment. Another key adaptation was the modification of sensory systems. In water, vertebrates relied on different sensory organs, such as lateral lines, to detect vibrations and changes in water pressure. However, on land, these systems became less useful. Early land vertebrates evolved more specialized eyes to see in air, which required clearer vision and the ability to focus at different distances. Additionally, their inner ear structures adapted to detect airborne sound waves, leading to the development of early hearing capabilities. These sensory adaptations allowed vertebrates to better navigate and respond to stimuli in their new terrestrial habitats. Finally, changes in reproduction and skin helped early vertebrates survive on land. Amphibians, like their fish ancestors, still laid eggs in water, but they also evolved methods to prevent desiccation, such as mucus-covered skin to retain moisture and eggs that could survive in moist environments. While these early vertebrates were still tied to water for reproduction, they were far more suited to life on land than their fully aquatic ancestors. In conclusion, the first vertebrates adapted to life on land through a series of structural and physiological innovations. Limb development, the evolution of lungs, skeletal reinforcement, sensory adaptation, and reproductive changes were all critical in this transition, allowing these early pioneers to thrive in the new terrestrial world. How did the shift from water to land affect the evolution of early vertebrates and shape their survival strategies? The shift from water to land fundamentally changed the evolutionary trajectory of vertebrates, forcing them to adapt to new challenges and opportunities. As these early vertebrates, like the first amphibians, left their aquatic environments, they had to develop new survival strategies to cope with the vastly different conditions on land. This move opened up a whole new realm of ecological niches, enabling vertebrates to diversify in ways that were impossible in the aquatic world. One of the most significant impacts of this transition was the need for new ways of obtaining food. In the water, early vertebrates primarily relied on filter feeding or hunting smaller fish and aquatic organisms. However, the terrestrial environment presented new food sources, including insects, plants, and other land-dwelling invertebrates. Early vertebrates had to evolve new feeding strategies to exploit these resources. Some adapted to catch fast-moving prey, developing stronger jaws and teeth to capture and process their meals. Others may have started to graze on plant material, setting the stage for the eventual evolution of herbivorous vertebrates. The shift to land also required new methods of movement. In the water, buoyancy made movement relatively easy, allowing animals to glide, swim, or float without much effort. However, on land, early vertebrates had to contend with gravity, which required them to develop limbs capable of supporting their body weight and moving efficiently across solid ground. The evolution of four-limbed locomotion, tetrapody, enabled vertebrates to move more effectively, whether for hunting, escaping predators, or exploring new habitats. This shift in locomotion was not only vital for survival, but also led to greater diversification of vertebrate species as different limb structures evolved for various forms of movement, crawling, climbing, or eventually walking and running. Terrestrial life also brought with it the challenge of avoiding desiccation, as land environments can be far harsher than aquatic ones in terms of temperature and moisture. The skin of early vertebrates needed to evolve to prevent water loss, leading to the development of specialized coverings. Amphibians, for example, developed mucus-covered skin to retain moisture, but they still relied on water for reproduction, laying their eggs in moist environments. This reliance on water would eventually lead to the evolution of more advanced reproductive strategies in other groups of vertebrates, such as reptiles and mammals, which developed amniotic eggs or internal gestation to protect their offspring from drying out. The new threats and predators on land also shaped the evolution of early vertebrates. In water, many vertebrates relied on camouflage or speed to avoid predators. On land, these strategies became more varied and complex. Some species developed hard exoskeletons or armor-like features to protect themselves, while others evolved more advanced senses to detect predators early, enabling them to hide or flee. This constant arms race between predator and prey on land fostered rapid evolutionary innovation, driving the diversification of body forms, behaviors, and defensive mechanisms. Furthermore, terrestrial environments offered more stable and predictable habitats compared to the often turbulent aquatic ecosystems. On land, early vertebrates could establish more permanent territories, leading to the evolution of territorial behaviors and social structures. These developments would later be crucial in the evolution of more complex behaviors, such as cooperation, mating displays, and parental care, which are common in modern vertebrates. In summary, the shift from water to land significantly influenced the evolution of early vertebrates, shaping their survival strategies in response to the new challenges of the terrestrial environment. From new feeding strategies to locomotion and reproductive adaptations, the transition to land provided the catalyst for the incredible diversification and success of vertebrate life on Earth. What evolutionary advantages did reptiles have that allowed them to dominate land ecosystems after the amphibians? Reptiles emerged as a dominant group during the late Carboniferous and early Permian periods, around 300 million years ago, taking over from amphibians in many land ecosystems. Their evolutionary success was largely due to a series of key adaptations that gave them significant advantages over their amphibian ancestors, particularly in drier environments. These adaptations allowed reptiles to exploit new ecological niches, eventually becoming the dominant land vertebrates for millions of years. One of the most important adaptations that reptiles developed was the amniotic egg. Unlike amphibians, which required water or moist environments to lay their eggs, reptiles evolved hard-shelled, water-retaining eggs that could be laid on land. The amniotic egg provided a protected, self-contained environment for the developing embryo, complete with its own water supply and membranes to manage gas exchange. This evolutionary leap freed reptiles from being tied to aquatic habitats for reproduction, allowing them to colonize a wide range of dry environments that were previously inaccessible to amphibians. As a result, reptiles could spread across arid deserts, forests, and plains, outcompeting amphibians in these areas. Another critical advantage reptiles had over amphibians was their tough, scaly skin. Amphibians have permeable skin, which limits their ability to retain water and forces them to live in moist environments. In contrast, reptiles evolved skin covered in tough keratinized scales, which significantly reduced water loss and allowed them to survive in dry and hot climates. This adaptation enabled reptiles to thrive in environments that would have been too harsh for amphibians, such as deserts and savannas. The ability to conserve water also meant that reptiles were less dependent on staying near water sources, further expanding their range. Reptiles also had more efficient respiratory and circulatory systems than amphibians. Amphibians primarily rely on both their lungs and their skin for respiration, which limits their activity levels and the size of their bodies. Reptiles, on the other hand, developed more advanced lungs with a greater surface area for gas exchange, allowing them to take in more oxygen and support more energy-demanding activities. In addition, many reptiles evolved a three-chambered heart, which improved the efficiency of blood circulation compared to the simpler circulatory system of amphibians. These physiological improvements allowed reptiles to grow larger, be more active, and live in environments with lower oxygen levels such as high altitudes or dry plains. Thermoregulation was another key advantage. Reptiles are ectothermic, meaning they rely on external sources of heat to regulate their body temperature. While this may seem like a disadvantage compared to endothermic, warm-blooded animals, ectothermy actually allowed reptiles to survive on less food and energy. Reptiles could remain inactive for long periods, basking in the sun to warm up and hunting or moving only when necessary. This energy efficiency made reptiles highly competitive in environments where food was scarce or unpredictable, giving them a survival advantage over amphibians, which needed to stay moist and consume more resources to maintain their energy levels. In conclusion, the evolutionary advantages of the amniotic egg, tough scaly skin, advanced respiratory and circulatory systems, and energy-efficient thermoregulation allowed reptiles to dominate land ecosystems after the amphibians. These adaptations enabled reptiles to exploit a wide range of ecological niches and thrive in environments where amphibians could not survive, setting the stage for the reptilian dominance that lasted for hundreds of millions of years. How did reptiles evolve to thrive in different environments, from deserts to rainforests, during their early rise? Reptiles' evolutionary success can be attributed to their remarkable ability to adapt to a wide variety of environments, from the scorching heat of deserts to the humid, dense forests of rainforests. Over millions of years, reptiles evolved specialized adaptations that allowed them to not only survive, but thrive in these diverse habitats, exploiting new ecological niches that were inaccessible to many other vertebrates. In deserts, reptiles evolved a range of adaptations to cope with extreme heat and arid conditions. One of the most important traits was their ability to conserve water. Reptiles have highly efficient kidneys, which enable them to excrete waste with minimal water loss. This is particularly crucial in deserts, where water is scarce and dehydration can be a constant threat. Additionally, their tough, scaly skin, covered in keratin, further reduced water loss by providing a barrier against the dry, harsh environment. Many desert reptiles, such as lizards and snakes, are also capable of slowing their metabolism during extreme conditions, conserving energy when food is scarce and waiting for more favorable conditions to become active. Behavioral adaptations also played a key role in desert survival. Many desert reptiles are adept at thermoregulation, using their environment to regulate body temperature. By basking in the sun during cooler mornings and seeking shade or burrowing underground during the heat of the day, they can maintain their internal temperatures within a functional range. Some reptiles, such as certain species of snakes and lizards, have evolved nocturnal habits to avoid the extreme daytime heat, becoming more active at night when temperatures drop. These behavioral and physiological adaptations allowed reptiles to thrive in deserts, where few other animals could survive. In contrast, reptiles that lived in rainforests developed adaptations suited to the humid, densely vegetated environments. Rainforests provide abundant food and shelter, but also present challenges like high humidity, dense vegetation, and the need for specialized locomotion to navigate the forest canopy. Tree-dwelling reptiles, like certain species of geckos and chameleons, evolved specialized limbs and claws for climbing and gripping branches. Chameleons, for instance, developed prehensile tails and zygodactylous feet, 2 toes facing forward and 2 backward, which gave them extraordinary climbing abilities. These adaptations enabled reptiles to exploit vertical spaces in the rainforest, giving them access to food and protection from ground-dwelling predators. The dense vegetation of rainforests also provided reptiles with ample cover for camouflage, leading to the evolution of complex skin patterns and colors that help them blend into their surroundings. Chameleons are a prime example of this, as they can change the color of their skin to match their environment, a trait that not only helps them avoid predators, but also aids in communication and temperature regulation. Some rainforest reptiles also developed elongated bodies and tails, allowing them to navigate narrow branches and dense foliage with ease. In swampy or wetland environments, reptiles evolved further adaptations to thrive in both water and on land. Crocodiles and alligators, for example, have evolved streamlined bodies and powerful tails that make them excellent swimmers, while their strong limbs allow them to move effectively on land. Their ability to hunt both in the water and on land has made them highly successful predators in wetland ecosystems. Additionally, their eyes and nostrils are located on top of their heads, allowing them to remain mostly submerged while still being able to see and breathe, a perfect adaptation for ambushing prey. In summary, reptiles evolved a wide range of physical, physiological, and behavioral adaptations that allowed them to thrive in diverse environments, from the dry heat of deserts to the dense, humid rainforests and wetland ecosystems. Their ability to adapt to these varied habitats was key to their early evolutionary success and their dominance of terrestrial ecosystems. How did the formation of the supercontinent Pangaea influence the distribution and evolution of early reptiles and other life forms? The formation of the supercontinent Pangaea around 335 million years ago had a profound impact on the distribution and evolution of early reptiles and other life forms. Pangaea was a massive landmass that connected almost all of Earth's continents, dramatically altering ecosystems, climate patterns, and evolutionary pressures. The merging of landmasses meant that terrestrial organisms could migrate over vast distances without the barriers of oceans, leading to new opportunities for species dispersal, competition, and adaptation. One of the most significant effects of Pangaea's formation was the creation of new and diverse habitats across the supercontinent. With such a large landmass, climates and ecosystems varied greatly from one region to another, providing reptiles and other organisms with different environmental niches to exploit. Deserts, tropical rainforests, savannas, and coastal regions all developed on Pangaea, offering a wide range of ecological opportunities. This variety of habitats encouraged reptiles to diversify and adapt to different environments. For instance, some reptiles evolved traits that suited life in hot, arid regions, while others adapted to more temperate or tropical climates. The availability of diverse environments accelerated the evolutionary process, as reptiles and other species adapted to local conditions, eventually leading to the emergence of new species with specialized traits. Additionally, the formation of Pangaea enabled the widespread migration of species. As once separated landmasses merged, species that had evolved in isolation came into contact with each other. This mixing of previously isolated populations introduced new competition for resources, driving natural selection and leading to rapid evolutionary changes. Reptiles that were successful in competing for food, shelter, and mates were able to spread across the continent, while those less adapted to changing conditions may have gone extinct. This competition between species contributed to the development of more specialized and adaptable reptiles, as they evolved new strategies for survival in the face of increasing pressure from both predators and competitors. The merging of Pangaea also influenced the evolution of marine life by reducing the number of shallow coastal habitats. As the supercontinent formed, the extensive shallow seas that once surrounded smaller landmasses disappeared, significantly impacting marine ecosystems. This loss of habitat may have forced marine organisms to evolve new adaptations or move into deeper waters, while terrestrial life, particularly reptiles, expanded into newly available coastal areas. Reptiles, with their water-conserving adaptations and amniotic eggs, were well suited to colonize these coastal regions and exploit new food sources, further expanding their ecological range. In terms of climate, the vast size of Pangaea meant that it had large interior regions far from the moderating influence of oceans. These inland areas experienced more extreme temperature fluctuations, with hot summers and cold winters, as well as arid conditions. Reptiles, being ectothermic and able to regulate their body temperature through behavior, were well adapted to these fluctuations. However, this also meant that different species faced significant environmental pressures, leading to varying evolutionary paths. Reptiles that adapted to these harsher climates would have evolved traits such as better water conservation, improved thermoregulation, and changes in body structure to cope with the extreme heat or cold. In summary, the formation of Pangaea had a profound effect on the distribution and evolution of early reptiles and other life forms. The new opportunities for migration, competition, and adaptation, coupled with the diverse habitats and extreme climates, accelerated the evolutionary process and led to the emergence of many new species. This set the stage for reptiles to dominate land ecosystems for millions of years. How did the earliest dinosaurs evolve during the Triassic, and what factors allowed them to begin dominating land ecosystems? The first dinosaurs appeared during the late Triassic period, approximately 230 million years ago, in a world recovering from the catastrophic Permian-Triassic extinction. Although dinosaurs initially evolved as small, nimble creatures, they gradually began to dominate terrestrial ecosystems, setting the stage for their reign during the Jurassic and Cretaceous periods. Several evolutionary adaptations and environmental factors allowed these early dinosaurs to outcompete other reptiles and become the dominant land animals of the Mesozoic era. One of the most significant factors that contributed to the rise of dinosaurs was their upright posture. Unlike many of their reptilian predecessors, which had a sprawling gait, early dinosaurs evolved limbs positioned directly beneath their bodies. This allowed them to move more efficiently and with greater speed and agility. The bipedal, two-legged stance of many early dinosaurs, such as Herrerasaurus and Eoraptor, freed their forelimbs for other functions like grasping prey, giving them a distinct advantage over quadrupedal competitors. This efficient mode of locomotion not only made dinosaurs fast and agile hunters, but also enabled them to conserve energy, which was crucial in the unpredictable and evolving ecosystems of the Triassic. Another key factor in the success of early dinosaurs was their ability to adapt to a variety of environmental conditions. The late Triassic was marked by a hot, arid climate with vast deserts and seasonal monsoons. Dinosaurs evolved several physiological traits that helped them thrive in these challenging conditions. Their ectothermic, cold-blooded nature allowed them to regulate their body temperature using external heat sources, reducing their reliance on constant food intake compared to endothermic animals. This energy efficiency gave dinosaurs an advantage in environments where resources were scarce or unpredictable. In addition to their adaptability, early dinosaurs were highly diverse, evolving into a variety of ecological niches. Some early dinosaurs, like Coelophysis, were small, agile predators that likely hunted in packs, using their speed and coordination to take down prey. Other early dinosaurs, like Plateosaurus, were herbivores that evolved long necks and sturdy limbs to forage for vegetation in different environments. This diversity of form and function allowed dinosaurs to fill multiple ecological roles, from top predators to large herbivores, as they gradually outcompeted other reptiles such as synapsids and early archosaurs. The extinction of many of the dinosaurs' competitors also played a crucial role in their rise to dominance. During the late Triassic, a series of extinction events wiped out many large non-dinosaurian reptiles, including several species of archosaurs and therapsids. This left open ecological niches that dinosaurs were able to exploit. Without significant competition, early dinosaurs rapidly diversified and spread across the supercontinent Pangaea, where they evolved into a wide range of species adapted to different climates and ecosystems. The fragmentation of Pangaea also helped drive dinosaur diversification. As the supercontinent began to break apart, dinosaurs were isolated in different regions, leading to allopatric speciation, where species evolve independently in geographically separated areas. This process of isolation and adaptation allowed dinosaurs to evolve into highly specialized forms, suited to specific environments, which further solidified their dominance across the globe. By the end of the Triassic period, dinosaurs had diversified into a wide range of species, occupying various ecological roles and solidifying their place as the dominant terrestrial vertebrates. Their ability to adapt, combined with evolutionary advantages like their upright posture and efficient metabolism, gave them the tools to survive and thrive in the changing environments of the Triassic. In conclusion, the earliest dinosaurs evolved during the Triassic through a combination of evolutionary innovations, such as their upright posture and environmental opportunities, including the extinction of their competitors. These factors allowed them to rapidly diversify and begin their dominance of land ecosystems, setting the stage for their eventual reign as the rulers of the Mesozoic. What role did the breakup of Pangaea play in creating new ecological niches and promoting speciation? The breakup of Pangaea, which began around 175 million years ago during the Jurassic period, had a significant impact on the evolution of life on Earth. As the supercontinent gradually split apart into smaller land masses, new oceans and geographic barriers formed, creating isolated ecosystems and fostering speciation, the process by which new species evolve. This geological event drastically changed the distribution of habitats and climate patterns, giving rise to new ecological niches and promoting the diversification of reptiles and other life forms. One of the primary ways the breakup of Pangaea promoted speciation was by creating geographic isolation. As Pangaea fractured into smaller continents, populations of species that were once widespread became separated by oceans, mountains, or other barriers. This isolation prevented interbreeding between populations, allowing them to evolve independently in response to their local environments. Over time, these isolated populations adapted to different ecological conditions, leading to the emergence of new species. For example, reptiles living on different land masses would have faced distinct climate challenges, predators, and food sources, driving them to develop unique traits suited to their specific environments. This process, known as allopatric speciation, was one of the key forces behind the increased biodiversity seen after the breakup of Pangaea. The fragmentation of Pangaea also created new ecological niches by altering global climate patterns. As the land masses drifted apart, ocean currents shifted, affecting temperature and precipitation patterns across the globe. This led to the creation of new climates, from arid deserts to tropical rainforests, each offering distinct habitats for reptiles and other organisms to exploit. For example, the separation of Africa and South America created new coastal environments that were warmer and wetter, encouraging the evolution of species adapted to these conditions. Similarly, as Australia drifted away from the other continents, its isolation led to the development of highly specialized and unique fauna, including reptiles that evolved in response to the continent's dry, often extreme climate. The creation of new coastlines and shallow seas also had a major impact on marine reptiles and coastal ecosystems. As continents drifted apart, shallow marine habitats expanded, providing new opportunities for marine life to diversify. Marine reptiles such as plesiosaurs and ichthyosaurs benefited from the availability of these new habitats, evolving specialized forms to thrive in the different marine environments that developed along the new coastlines. This diversification of marine reptiles was a direct result of the increased ecological opportunities brought about by the breakup of Pangaea. Furthermore, the breakup of Pangaea created opportunities for adaptive radiation, where a single species rapidly evolves into multiple species to fill various ecological roles. With new, unoccupied niches available, organisms that could quickly adapt to new conditions thrived. For reptiles, this meant diversifying into a wide range of sizes, shapes, and behaviors. Some evolved to become top predators in their ecosystems, while others adapted to life in the trees, on land, or in water. This adaptive radiation was especially pronounced in dinosaurs, which rapidly evolved into numerous species with specialized traits suited to different habitats, from the long-necked sauropods to the agile theropods. Finally, the breakup of Pangaea also increased the potential for competition between species, which in turn accelerated evolutionary change. As land masses separated and new ecosystems formed, different species came into contact with one another, competing for food, territory, and mates. This competition drove the evolution of more specialized traits and behaviors, such as advanced hunting strategies in carnivorous reptiles or better defense mechanisms in herbivores. Over time, these pressures led to the emergence of even more species, each finely tuned to its specific ecological role. In conclusion, the breakup of Pangaea played a crucial role in creating new ecological niches and promoting speciation. The geographic isolation, shifts in climate, and creation of new habitats provided the perfect conditions for reptiles and other life forms to evolve and diversify. This fragmentation of ecosystems set the stage for the complex web of life that would eventually dominate the planet. What caused the Permian-Triassic extinction, and why was it the most devastating mass extinction event in Earth's history? The Permian-Triassic extinction event, often referred to as the Great Dying, occurred approximately 252 million years ago and is the most severe mass extinction event in Earth's history. This catastrophic event wiped out around 90% of all species, including about 96% of marine species and 70% of terrestrial vertebrates. The causes of this mass extinction are still the subject of ongoing scientific investigation, but the prevailing theories suggest that a combination of geological, climatic, and environmental factors came together to create a near-apocalyptic scenario for life on Earth. One of the most widely accepted explanations is the intense volcanic activity in what is now Siberia, known as the Siberian Traps. These massive volcanic eruptions released an immense amount of lava, ash, and gases, including carbon dioxide (CO2) and sulfur dioxide (SO2), over a period of hundreds of thousands of years. The eruptions covered an area of over 2 million square kilometers and were likely responsible for significant global environmental changes. The release of sulfur dioxide into the atmosphere caused short-term cooling, as the gas formed aerosols that reflected sunlight away from Earth, leading to a volcanic winter. This sudden drop in temperature would have been devastating for many species, particularly those that were unable to adapt quickly enough to the changing climate. However, the long-term consequences of the volcanic activity were even more destructive. The release of carbon dioxide from the eruptions led to a dramatic increase in greenhouse gases, causing global temperatures to rise over time. This period of global warming likely disrupted ecosystems around the world, particularly in marine environments. Warmer oceans hold less oxygen, and the rapid rise in temperature would have caused widespread oceanic anoxia, a lack of oxygen in the water. Many marine species, particularly those reliant on well-oxygenated water, could not survive these conditions. Coral reefs and other marine ecosystems collapsed as the oceans became more acidic and deoxygenated. In addition to the direct effects of the volcanic eruptions, the warming climate likely triggered the release of methane hydrates from the ocean floor. Methane is an even more potent greenhouse gas than carbon dioxide, and its release would have exacerbated global warming. This feedback loop of rising temperatures and increased greenhouse gas emissions pushed Earth's climate into a state of extreme instability, further contributing to the collapse of ecosystems. On land, the environmental changes were equally devastating. The loss of plant life due to changing climates would have disrupted food chains, leading to the extinction of many herbivorous species. Without vegetation to stabilize soil, erosion and desertification may have become widespread, further reducing the ability of terrestrial ecosystems to recover. The collapse of food webs, combined with the harsh environmental conditions, led to the extinction of many terrestrial vertebrates, including several large amphibian and reptilian species that had dominated the Permian period. The scale of biodiversity loss during the Permian-Triassic extinction was unprecedented, and recovery took millions of years. Unlike other mass extinction events, which saw the relatively quick rise of new species, the aftermath of the Great Dying left Earth's ecosystems in a state of collapse, with many ecological niches remaining vacant for extended periods. In conclusion, the Permian-Triassic extinction was caused by a combination of intense volcanic activity, global warming, ocean anoxia, and potentially the release of methane hydrates. This combination of factors created a perfect storm of environmental devastation, making it the most catastrophic extinction event in Earth's history. How did the ecosystems recover after the Permian extinction, setting the stage for the rise of the dinosaurs? The aftermath of the Permian-Triassic extinction, often referred to as the Great Dying, left Earth's ecosystems devastated. With around 90% of species wiped out, the planet entered a prolonged recovery phase that took millions of years. The ecosystems that emerged in the wake of this catastrophe were very different from those that existed before the extinction, and the recovery process set the stage for the eventual rise of the dinosaurs during the Triassic period. Initially, recovery from the extinction was slow and uneven. The vast majority of marine and terrestrial ecosystems were severely disrupted, with many ecological niches left empty. The extreme loss of biodiversity meant that food webs had collapsed, and the once thriving Permian ecosystems had been replaced by barren landscapes and oxygen-poor oceans. It took several million years for new species to evolve and fill the empty ecological roles left by the mass extinction. In the oceans, one of the first steps toward recovery was the re-establishment of basic marine ecosystems, particularly those involving small, simple organisms like algae and plankton. These primary producers formed the base of new food webs, allowing other organisms to eventually return. Some groups of marine animals, such as ammonites and certain types of bivalves, managed to survive the extinction and gradually diversified in the aftermath. These survivors would go on to play a key role in the re-establishment of marine ecosystems. Additionally, new groups of marine reptiles like ichthyosaurs evolved during this time, eventually becoming dominant predators in the oceans. On land, the recovery was similarly slow, but certain species managed to survive and adapt to the post-extinction world. Early synapsids, or mammal-like reptiles, such as Lystrosaurus, were among the few terrestrial vertebrates that survived the mass extinction. Lystrosaurus became incredibly widespread in the early Triassic, dominating terrestrial ecosystems due to the lack of competition. These hardy herbivores, which could tolerate harsh conditions, played a key role in stabilizing early Triassic ecosystems by becoming primary consumers in the food chain. However, the collapse of large Permian predators and herbivores left room for new groups to emerge. The early Triassic period saw the rise of archosaurs, a group that included the ancestors of crocodiles, pterosaurs, and dinosaurs. Archosaurs were well adapted to the changing environments of the Triassic, with characteristics such as upright limb posture that gave them an advantage over the sprawling gait of earlier reptiles. This upright posture allowed archosaurs to move more efficiently on land, making them faster and better suited to pursue prey or avoid predators. As the climate stabilized and ecosystems began to recover, archosaurs diversified into various forms, filling different ecological niches. Some archosaurs evolved into large herbivorous species, while others developed into apex predators. By the late Triassic, one group of archosaurs, the dinosaurs, began to dominate terrestrial ecosystems. Their success was due in part to their ability to adapt to a wide range of environments and the absence of large competitors in the wake of the extinction. Plant life also played a crucial role in the recovery of terrestrial ecosystems. During the early Triassic, plant diversity was low, but as the climate improved, new plant species began to emerge. Gymnosperms, including conifers, cycads, and ginkgos, became dominant in many parts of the world. These plants provided the food base for herbivorous reptiles and helped restore the carbon cycle, contributing to the gradual rebuilding of ecosystems. In conclusion, the recovery from the Permian extinction was slow and marked by the gradual return of both marine and terrestrial ecosystems. The collapse of previous dominant species created opportunities for new groups such as archosaurs and dinosaurs to evolve and thrive. Over time, these new species filled the ecological voids left by the extinction, setting the stage for the rise of dinosaurs as the dominant land animals during the Mesozoic era. How did the Triassic period serve as a recovery phase for life on Earth after the Permian extinction? And what types of creatures emerged during this time? The Triassic period, beginning around 252 million years ago, marked the dawn of a new era of life on Earth following the Permian-Triassic extinction, the most devastating extinction event in the planet's history. With up to 90% of species wiped out, ecosystems were left in ruin, but the Triassic period provided a long recovery phase in which life began to diversify again. While it took millions of years for biodiversity to fully recover, the Triassic period is known for fostering the rise of new species and the early dominance of reptiles, including the first dinosaurs. In the aftermath of the extinction, the early Triassic landscape was stark and dominated by a few resilient species. One such survivor was Lystrosaurus, a small, tusked herbivore that thrived in the harsh post-extinction environment. Its dominance was largely due to its ability to withstand extreme conditions, filling the ecological void left by the disappearance of larger herbivores. Alongside Lystrosaurus, other synapsids, mammal-like reptiles, managed to survive and slowly diversify, but the real recovery story of the Triassic belonged to the reptiles. The early Triassic period saw the slow emergence of new ecosystems, with plants like ferns and cycads starting to reappear. Gymnosperms, seed-producing plants such as conifers, became dominant in many regions, providing a stable food source for herbivorous animals. As plant life began to flourish, ecosystems started to rebuild, with herbivores returning first and predators following soon after. Reptiles, particularly archosaurs, a group that includes the ancestors of crocodiles, pterosaurs, and dinosaurs, began to diversify significantly during this period. One key to their success was their upright posture, which allowed for more efficient movement compared to the sprawling gait of earlier reptiles. This evolutionary advantage helped archosaurs become highly adaptable to a range of environmental conditions, from hot, dry deserts to lush tropical regions. Early archosaurs evolved into a variety of forms, including large herbivores like Plateosaurus and carnivores like Herrerasaurus, some of the earliest known dinosaurs. As the Triassic progressed, the middle to late periods saw the continued diversification of both terrestrial and marine life. Marine ecosystems, which had been devastated by the Permian extinction, began to recover with the rise of new species such as ammonites and marine reptiles like ichthyosaurs and nothosaurs. These creatures took advantage of the newly forming shallow seas and reefs, filling ecological niches left vacant by earlier extinctions. On land, the later Triassic period marked the rise of more advanced reptiles, including the first true dinosaurs. While still relatively small compared to their Jurassic and Cretaceous descendants, these early dinosaurs began to dominate ecosystems as competitors like synapsids and other reptiles dwindled. By the end of the Triassic, large theropods, bipedal carnivores, like Coelophysis and Herrerasaurus, had emerged as the top predators, while herbivorous dinosaurs like Plateosaurus began to take over as the dominant plant eaters. In conclusion, the Triassic period was a critical recovery phase for life on Earth after the Permian extinction. It saw the gradual rebuilding of ecosystems and the diversification of new species, particularly reptiles. By the end of the Triassic, the stage was set for the rise of dinosaurs, which would dominate the planet for the next 160 million years. What environmental and evolutionary pressures led to the rise of the first large dinosaurs during the Triassic-Jurassic transition? The transition from the Triassic to the Jurassic period around 201 million years ago was marked by significant environmental and evolutionary changes that set the stage for the rise of the first large dinosaurs. This period of transition was driven by a combination of mass extinctions, climate shifts, and the continued fragmentation of the supercontinent Pangaea, all of which created new ecological opportunities that allowed dinosaurs to evolve into larger and more dominant species. One of the key environmental pressures that led to the rise of large dinosaurs was the Triassic-Jurassic mass extinction event, which wiped out approximately 50% of species, including many large reptiles and synapsids that had dominated terrestrial ecosystems. This extinction event is believed to have been triggered by intense volcanic activity in the Central Atlantic Magmatic Province, CAMP, which coincided with the breakup of Pangaea. Massive volcanic eruptions released vast amounts of carbon dioxide and sulfur into the atmosphere, causing global warming, ocean acidification, and climate disruption. These harsh environmental conditions led to the collapse of many ecosystems, leaving ecological niches empty and paving the way for dinosaurs to rise to prominence in the Jurassic period. As competition from other large reptiles decreased, early dinosaurs were able to exploit new opportunities. The extinction of top predators and herbivores meant that dinosaurs had less competition for resources, allowing them to diversify and occupy new ecological roles. Large herbivorous dinosaurs, like the early sauropods, Plateosaurus and Vulcanodon, evolved to fill the void left by extinct herbivores. Their large size allowed them to reach higher vegetation, giving them access to food sources that smaller herbivores could not reach. Additionally, their sheer size provided protection from potential predators, allowing them to thrive in the new Jurassic landscapes. The changing climate during the Triassic-Jurassic transition also played a crucial role in the evolution of larger dinosaurs. As Pangaea began to split apart, the climate became more humid and stable in many regions, creating lush forested environments that could support large herbivores. The abundance of plant life provided the energy needed to sustain massive body sizes, allowing herbivorous dinosaurs to grow to unprecedented sizes. Larger body sizes also help dinosaurs regulate their body temperature more effectively, as larger animals lose heat more slowly than smaller ones. This thermoregulatory advantage was particularly important in the warm climates of the Jurassic, where maintaining a stable internal temperature was key to survival. The rise of large carnivorous dinosaurs was also influenced by evolutionary pressures. With the extinction of many Triassic predators, early theropods like Dilophosaurus and Megalosaurus evolved to become apex predators in the Jurassic. Their bipedal posture, sharp teeth, and powerful jaws made them effective hunters, and their large size allowed them to take down bigger prey, including the growing population of large herbivores. The arms race between predator and prey continued to drive the evolution of both large herbivorous and carnivorous dinosaurs, pushing them to develop ever larger and more specialized forms. The rise of the first large dinosaurs during the Triassic-Jurassic transition was driven by a combination of environmental and evolutionary pressures. The extinction of competitors, the availability of new ecological niches, a changing climate, and the continued fragmentation of Pangaea all contributed to the emergence of larger and more dominant dinosaur species that would go on to dominate the Jurassic and Cretaceous periods. How did early dinosaurs outcompete other reptiles to become the dominant land animals? The dominance of dinosaurs over other reptiles during the Triassic-Jurassic transition was the result of several key evolutionary advantages that allowed them to outcompete their reptilian rivals and become the dominant land animals of the Mesozoic era. While many different reptile groups existed at the time, dinosaurs possessed unique traits that gave them a competitive edge in various environments, enabling them to fill a wide range of ecological roles. One of the most significant evolutionary advantages that early dinosaurs had over other reptiles was their upright posture. Unlike many of their contemporaries, which had sprawling limbs similar to modern lizards and crocodiles, early dinosaurs evolved limbs that were positioned directly beneath their bodies. This upright posture allowed for more efficient locomotion, enabling dinosaurs to move more quickly and with less energy expenditure than their sprawling counterparts. Faster, more agile movement provided early dinosaurs with an edge when it came to hunting, foraging, and escaping predators. This improved mobility likely contributed to their ability to dominate ecosystems, particularly in open, dry environments where speed and stamina were essential. Another important factor was dinosaurs' adaptability to changing environments. The Triassic-Jurassic transition was a time of significant environmental upheaval, with volcanic activity, climate shifts, and the breakup of Pangaea causing widespread disruption to ecosystems. Dinosaurs, particularly those in the group Archosauria, which also included pterosaurs and crocodile ancestors, were highly adaptable to these changing conditions. Their ectothermic, cold-blooded metabolism allowed them to thrive in the warm climates of the Triassic and Jurassic, where other reptiles struggled to survive. Their efficient thermoregulation and ability to take advantage of various food sources gave dinosaurs a significant survival advantage during this period of environmental instability. In addition to their upright posture and adaptability, early dinosaurs were highly diverse, which played a key role in their ability to outcompete other reptiles. By the late Triassic and early Jurassic periods, dinosaurs had evolved into a wide range of forms, from small, agile carnivores like Coelophysis to large, slow-moving herbivores like Plateosaurus. This diversity allowed dinosaurs to fill multiple ecological niches, from top predators to herbivorous grazers. In contrast, many other reptile groups were more specialized and less adaptable, making them vulnerable to extinction during times of environmental stress. Dinosaurs' ability to evolve into different shapes, sizes, and ecological roles gave them a significant competitive advantage, enabling them to survive and thrive in a variety of habitats. Furthermore, the extinction of many competing reptile groups during the Triassic-Jurassic mass extinction event played a crucial role in the rise of dinosaurs. This extinction event, triggered by volcanic activity and associated climate changes, wiped out large numbers of terrestrial reptiles, including many species of large archosaurs and therapsids. The extinction of these dominant reptiles left ecological niches vacant, allowing dinosaurs to move into new habitats and diversify further. Without the presence of large competitors, dinosaurs were able to expand rapidly and occupy positions in the food chain that had previously been held by other reptiles. In conclusion, early dinosaurs were able to outcompete other reptiles and become the dominant land animals due to their upright posture, adaptability to environmental changes, diversity in form and function, and the advantage provided by the extinction of their competitors. These evolutionary traits enabled dinosaurs to thrive in a wide range of ecosystems and set the stage for their dominance throughout the Mesozoic era. How did sauropods like Brachiosaurus evolve to reach such massive sizes, and what were the biological advantages of their size? Sauropods, including iconic species like Brachiosaurus, are renowned for their enormous size. These long-necked herbivores were some of the largest animals to ever walk the earth, with some species reaching lengths of up to 30 meters and weighing as much as 70 tons. The evolution of such massive size in sauropods was the result of a combination of anatomical, physiological, and ecological factors that provided these dinosaurs with significant advantages in their environments. One of the key factors that allowed sauropods to grow so large was their unique skeletal structure. Sauropods had hollow bones, particularly in their vertebrae, which made their skeletons lighter without compromising strength. This adaptation reduced the overall weight of their massive bodies, making it easier for them to move despite their size. The long necks of sauropods, supported by these lightweight bones, allowed them to reach vegetation high up in trees that other herbivores couldn't access, giving them a significant feeding advantage in environments with tall vegetation. By being able to browse over vast areas without needing to move their bodies, sauropods could feed more efficiently, reducing the energy expended on locomotion. Another important adaptation that contributed to sauropod gigantism was their highly efficient respiratory system, which is thought to be similar to that of modern birds. Sauropods likely possessed a system of air sacs connected to their lungs, allowing for continuous airflow and more efficient oxygen exchange. This respiratory system would have been crucial in supporting their massive bodies, as it helped supply the large amounts of oxygen needed to fuel their metabolism. Additionally, the air sacs may have played a role in reducing the weight of their bodies, particularly in their long necks and large torsos, which were filled with these air pockets rather than solid tissue or bone. Sauropods' digestive systems were also highly specialized to handle their immense food intake. Given their large size, sauropods needed to consume vast quantities of plant material to meet their energy requirements. Their long necks allowed them to continuously graze on leaves, branches, and other vegetation, while their enormous stomachs and long digestive tracts helped them process the tough, fibrous plant material efficiently. Sauropods likely practiced a form of fermentation in their guts, where symbiotic bacteria broke down plant material, releasing nutrients over extended periods. This slow, continuous digestion would have allowed them to extract the maximum nutritional value from their food, supporting their massive body size. The evolutionary pressure to grow larger also provided sauropods with several ecological advantages. First and foremost, their size made them less vulnerable to predation. While young sauropods may have been prey for carnivorous dinosaurs like theropods, adult sauropods, due to their sheer size, were likely invulnerable to most predators. Even the largest theropods would have struggled to take down a fully grown Brachiosaurus. This size advantage allowed sauropods to dominate their environments as peaceful, plant-eating giants that faced little threat from predators. Additionally, being so large allowed sauropods to efficiently regulate their body temperature. Larger animals tend to lose heat more slowly than smaller animals, a principle known as gigantothermy. This meant that sauropods, despite being ectothermic or mesothermic, neither fully cold-blooded nor warm-blooded, were likely able to maintain relatively stable internal body temperatures. Their massive bodies would have absorbed heat from the sun during the day and retained it at night, reducing their need to seek out external heat sources and allowing them to thrive in various environments, from tropical forests to semi-arid regions. In conclusion, the evolution of sauropods' massive size was driven by a combination of skeletal, respiratory, and digestive adaptations that allowed them to efficiently feed, breathe, and move while supporting their enormous bodies. Their size gave them significant ecological advantages, including protection from predators and the ability to regulate their body temperature, which allowed them to thrive and dominate their ecosystems for millions of years. How did sauropods' feeding strategies and long necks help them dominate their ecosystems for millions of years? The feeding strategies of sauropods, particularly their long necks, played a crucial role in their dominance of terrestrial ecosystems for over 100 million years. These adaptations allowed sauropods to access food sources that other herbivores could not reach, enabling them to exploit ecological niches with minimal competition. Their unique feeding mechanisms, combined with their massive size, made them some of the most successful dinosaurs of the Mesozoic era. The most notable feature of sauropods was their extremely long necks, which could reach lengths of up to 15 meters in some species. This adaptation allowed them to feed on vegetation that was out of reach for most other herbivores, while other plant-eating dinosaurs were limited to ground-level or low-lying vegetation. Sauropods could browse high up in the forest canopy, feeding on the leaves of tall conifers, cycads, and ferns. This vertical feeding strategy gave them access to a nearly unlimited supply of food, reducing competition with other herbivorous dinosaurs that were restricted to feeding at lower levels. Their long necks also allowed sauropods to cover a large feeding area without having to move their massive bodies frequently. By simply moving their heads and necks, they could reach a wide range of plants without expending energy on locomotion. This energy efficiency was particularly important for such large animals, as moving their enormous bodies required significant energy. By minimizing movement, sauropods could conserve energy while maximizing their food intake, which was crucial for sustaining their massive size. Sauropods' feeding strategies were further enhanced by their peg-like teeth, which were well suited for stripping leaves off branches, but not for chewing. Instead of chewing their food, sauropods likely swallowed large amounts of vegetation whole. Their massive stomachs and long digestive tracts allowed for prolonged fermentation of plant material, breaking down the tough, fibrous tissues and extracting nutrients over extended periods. This slow digestive process meant that sauropods could continuously process large volumes of food, meeting their substantial energy requirements and supporting their enormous bodies. The ability to feed on a wide range of plant material also contributed to the dominance of sauropods in various ecosystems. They were highly adaptable and could thrive in different environments, from lush tropical forests to more arid semi-desert regions. In drier areas, sauropods could use their long necks to reach the leaves of tall, drought-resistant plants, while in wetter environments, they could browse on soft, leafy vegetation. This flexibility in feeding allowed sauropods to exploit a variety of habitats and made them resilient to changes in climate and vegetation patterns over time. The dominance of sauropods in their ecosystems was also reinforced by their role as ecosystem engineers. By consuming vast amounts of plant material, they helped shape the structure of their environments. The removal of large quantities of vegetation likely influenced plant diversity and distribution, promoting the growth of certain species while reducing the abundance of others. Additionally, sauropods may have played a role in seed dispersal by consuming fruits and seeds, which were then spread through their massive digestive systems and deposited in new areas. This interaction between sauropods and their environment helped maintain the balance of ecosystems and contributed to their long-term success. In conclusion, sauropods' feeding strategies, particularly their long necks and ability to access high vegetation, gave them a significant advantage over other herbivores and allowed them to dominate ecosystems for millions of years. Their energy-efficient feeding methods, adaptability to different environments, and role in shaping their ecosystems made them some of the most successful dinosaurs of the Mesozoic era. What key physical and behavioral adaptations allowed dinosaurs to survive for over 160 million years in diverse environments? Dinosaurs thrived for an astonishing 160 million years, evolving a wide range of physical and behavioral adaptations that allowed them to survive and dominate in a variety of environments. From dense forests and wetlands to arid deserts and plains, dinosaurs' ability to adapt to these changing ecosystems was key to their long-term success. These adaptations ranged from physical features like specialized limbs and body structures to complex behaviors such as social cooperation and migration. One of the most significant physical adaptations of dinosaurs was their wide range of body sizes, which allowed them to occupy different ecological niches. Smaller, agile dinosaurs like Velociraptor and Compsognathus were swift hunters, capable of chasing down prey or avoiding predators. Their lightweight bodies and strong limbs gave them the speed and agility necessary to thrive as opportunistic hunters in environments where larger, slower creatures struggled. On the opposite end of the spectrum, massive dinosaurs like Brachiosaurus and Argentinosaurus developed huge body sizes, which offered protection from predators and gave them access to high vegetation in forest canopies. Their size also allowed them to regulate their body temperature more effectively through gigantothermy, a phenomenon where larger animals retain heat more efficiently, giving them a stable internal temperature in varying climates. Another key adaptation was the development of diverse limb structures, which allowed dinosaurs to occupy different habitats and adopt specialized locomotion strategies. Bipedal dinosaurs, such as Tyrannosaurus rex, evolved strong hind limbs that enabled them to run swiftly and balance their bodies, giving them an advantage as fast, effective predators. Meanwhile, quadrupedal dinosaurs, like the armored Ankylosaurus, had sturdy limbs that provided stability and strength, making them effective at defending themselves from predators. In addition to their robust legs, some dinosaurs developed wings. The evolutionary transition of certain theropods into avian species like Archaeopteryx is an example of how some dinosaurs adapted to take flight, which opened up new survival strategies, such as escaping ground predators and expanding their food sources. Behavioral adaptations also played a critical role in the success of dinosaurs. Many dinosaurs are believed to have lived in social groups, which provided protection from predators, aided in hunting, and allowed for complex mating behaviors. Evidence of herd behavior has been found in fossils of dinosaurs like Maiasaura, which is believed to have lived in groups and cared for its young, suggesting a high level of parental care. Herding behavior would have provided multiple advantages, such as increased protection against predators and improved foraging efficiency, as groups could move together to new feeding grounds or safer habitats during environmental changes. Migration is another behavioral adaptation that may have been crucial for the survival of dinosaurs. As global climates fluctuated, particularly during the Mesozoic era, migration allowed dinosaurs to move to more favorable environments to access food and reproduce. Fossil evidence of dinosaur trackways suggests that some species, such as hadrosaurs, migrated seasonally in search of resources, much like modern animals, such as wildebeest or caribou. This ability to travel long distances and adapt to changing environmental conditions would have been essential for survival, particularly during periods of climate instability or resource scarcity. Dietary flexibility was also an important factor in the success of dinosaurs. Herbivorous dinosaurs like Triceratops evolved specialized teeth and jaws suited for grinding tough plant material, allowing them to consume a wide variety of vegetation. Carnivorous dinosaurs like Allosaurus developed sharp, serrated teeth for tearing into flesh, making them formidable predators. Additionally, omnivorous dinosaurs may have had a survival advantage by being able to consume both plants and animals, making them more adaptable in environments where one food source was scarce. In conclusion, dinosaurs' longevity and success were largely due to their physical and behavioral adaptability. From diverse body sizes and limb structures to social behaviors, migration, and dietary flexibility, dinosaurs evolved a wide range of strategies that allowed them to thrive in different environments and overcome the challenges of changing climates, predators, and ecosystems over millions of years. How did dinosaurs' ability to adapt to changing climates and ecosystems contribute to their long-term success? Dinosaurs' long-term success as the dominant land animals of the Mesozoic era was closely tied to their ability to adapt to shifting climates and ecosystems over tens of millions of years. During the Mesozoic, Earth experienced significant changes in temperature, sea levels, and vegetation patterns, all of which forced dinosaurs to evolve in response. Their capacity to adapt both physically and behaviorally to these environmental changes played a major role in their survival and allowed them to maintain their dominance across diverse habitats. One of the primary ways dinosaurs adapted to changing climates was through their thermoregulatory strategies. As ectothermic, cold-blooded, or mesothermic animals, dinosaurs relied on external heat sources to regulate their body temperature. Some species evolved large body sizes to help with temperature regulation, as gigantothermy allowed them to maintain stable internal temperatures in varying climates. Large sauropods, such as Apatosaurus, had massive bodies that could absorb heat during the day and retain it at night, making them well suited to environments with temperature fluctuations. Smaller dinosaurs, on the other hand, were more agile and able to seek out warmer microclimates, such as basking in the sun or sheltering in forested areas to avoid extreme heat or cold. The fragmentation of Pangaea, which began during the late Triassic and continued throughout the Jurassic and Cretaceous periods, significantly altered global climate patterns and ecosystems. As the supercontinent broke apart, new coastlines and land masses formed, leading to regional climate shifts and the creation of new habitats. Dinosaurs adapted to these changes by evolving into highly specialized species suited to different environments. For example, as deserts formed in some areas, dinosaurs like Spinosaurus adapted to semi-aquatic habitats, evolving long snouts and conical teeth for catching fish, allowing them to thrive in environments where water was the primary resource. In more forested regions, dinosaurs like Stegosaurus evolved wide, flat teeth for processing tough vegetation, while Diplodocus developed long necks to feed on high tree branches, giving them access to a food source with little competition. In addition to adapting physically to changing ecosystems, dinosaurs also developed behavioral adaptations that helped them survive in dynamic environments. Migration was a key strategy that allowed dinosaurs to move in response to seasonal changes in temperature and food availability. Some species, particularly herbivores like hadrosaurs, are believed to have migrated in large herds, traveling long. What key physical and behavioral adaptations allowed dinosaurs to survive for over 160 million years in diverse environments? Dinosaurs thrived for an impressive 160 million years, thanks to a series of remarkable physical and behavioral adaptations that allowed them to survive across a wide range of environments. From tropical rainforests and wetlands to arid deserts and expansive plains, dinosaurs evolved various strategies to cope with environmental changes, predators, and competition. Their success can be attributed to their ability to exploit different ecological niches and adapt to shifting climates and ecosystems throughout the Mesozoic era. One of the key physical adaptations that contributed to their success was their ability to vary significantly in size. Dinosaurs range from the small, agile Compsognathus to the colossal Argentinosaurus, which reached lengths of up to 30 meters. This size diversity allowed them to fill numerous ecological roles. Large herbivorous dinosaurs, like the massive sauropods, could access high vegetation in the forest canopy that smaller animals could not reach, minimizing competition for food. Their large size also protected them from most predators. On the other end of the spectrum, smaller theropods like Velociraptor were nimble and fast, allowing them to hunt smaller prey or avoid becoming prey themselves. Another critical adaptation was limb structure. Many dinosaurs evolved bipedal locomotion, like Tyrannosaurus rex and Allosaurus, giving them an advantage in speed and agility as predators. Bipedalism freed their forelimbs for other functions such as grasping prey or balancing during movement. Meanwhile, quadrupedal dinosaurs, such as the armored Ankylosaurus, used their sturdy limbs for slow but powerful movement, often paired with defensive adaptations like thick, bony armor or tail clubs to ward off attackers. These varied locomotion strategies helped dinosaurs adapt to different ecosystems, whether it involved running swiftly across open plains or navigating dense forests. Thermoregulation was another key factor that helped dinosaurs survive in diverse climates. Many dinosaurs, especially the larger ones, practiced a form of gigantothermy, where their sheer size allowed them to maintain stable body temperatures in fluctuating environments. By retaining heat efficiently, these large dinosaurs could thrive in cooler climates without expending as much energy on thermoregulation. This adaptation likely allowed species like Brachiosaurus and Diplodocus to colonize a variety of habitats, from humid forests to semi-arid regions. Behavioral adaptations also played a critical role in their longevity. Herd behavior was common among many species, particularly herbivores. Fossil evidence, such as trackways and nesting sites, suggests that dinosaurs like Maiasaura lived in large groups, where they benefited from protection in numbers. Herding offered several advantages, including defense against predators, more efficient foraging, and protection for young dinosaurs. Maiasaura is also believed to have practiced parental care, where adults guarded nests and cared for their young, increasing the survival rate of offspring, a key factor in ensuring species continuity. Migration is another behavioral trait that may have contributed to their success. As global climates shifted and resources became scarce, certain dinosaur species likely migrated in search of better conditions, similar to how modern animals like wildebeests or caribou migrate. Fossil evidence, including mass trackways, supports the idea that some herbivores, such as hadrosaurs, moved in large herds across long distances to find food or suitable nesting grounds. This ability to relocate in response to environmental changes would have been a significant survival advantage during periods of climate fluctuation, such as seasonal droughts or long-term shifts in vegetation. Lastly, dietary flexibility played an important role in their survival across diverse ecosystems. Herbivorous dinosaurs, such as Triceratops, evolved specialized teeth and beaks that allowed them to process tough plant material from cycads and ferns to harder, more fibrous vegetation. Carnivorous dinosaurs developed sharp teeth and claws for hunting, while omnivores like some theropods could switch between plant and animal diets, allowing them to thrive in environments where one food source might become scarce. Dinosaurs survived for millions of years due to their remarkable physical and behavioral adaptations, from varying body sizes and specialized limbs to complex social behaviors like herding and migration. These evolutionary traits allowed them to dominate diverse ecosystems and adapt to ever-changing environments, ensuring their reign over the Earth for much of the Mesozoic era. How did dinosaurs' ability to adapt to changing climates and ecosystems contribute to their long-term success? Dinosaurs' ability to adapt to the changing climates and ecosystems of the Mesozoic era was a key factor in their long-term survival and dominance over millions of years. Throughout the Triassic, Jurassic, and Cretaceous periods, Earth experienced major climatic shifts, fluctuating sea levels, and the fragmentation of the supercontinent Pangaea. Dinosaurs responded to these environmental changes by evolving a wide range of physical and behavioral adaptations that allowed them to exploit different habitats, find food, and survive in shifting ecosystems. One of the primary ways dinosaurs adapted to these changes was through diversification. As the supercontinent Pangaea began to break apart in the Jurassic period, it created a wide variety of environments, from arid deserts and coastal regions to tropical forests and swamps. Dinosaurs quickly adapted to these diverse habitats, evolving into species that were highly specialized for their environments. For example, Spinosaurus, a semi-aquatic theropod, adapted to life in swampy, riverine environments, by evolving a long snout and conical teeth for catching fish. In contrast, desert-dwelling dinosaurs like Protoceratops evolved squat bodies and sturdy limbs to navigate harsh, dry landscapes. This ability to evolve in response to different environmental pressures allowed dinosaurs to colonize a wide range of ecological niches and thrive in habitats that ranged from humid forests to arid plains. In addition to their adaptability in terms of habitat, dinosaurs were able to cope with climate fluctuations. As Earth's climate changed over millions of years due to volcanic activity, changes in atmospheric CO2 levels, and shifts in ocean currents, dinosaurs evolved strategies to survive. Larger dinosaurs, particularly sauropods like Apatosaurus, benefited from gigantothermy, where their massive size allowed them to retain body heat and maintain stable internal temperatures in colder climates. In warmer climates, other dinosaurs, such as Stegosaurus, evolved heat-regulating features like their plate-covered backs, which may have helped dissipate heat when temperatures rose. The breakup of Pangaea also led to the formation of new coastal areas, mountain ranges, and isolated regions, which contributed to the geographic isolation of certain dinosaur populations. This isolation promoted speciation, where different species evolved independently in response to their unique environments. For example, dinosaurs in what is now South America evolved differently from those in North America, leading to the development of a wide variety of distinct species on each landmass. This diversification allowed dinosaurs to fill a range of ecological roles, from apex predators like Tyrannosaurus rex to herbivorous titans like Argentinosaurus. Behavioral flexibility was another key factor in the long-term success of dinosaurs. Many species developed complex social structures and behaviors that helped them cope with environmental changes. Herding behavior in species like Hadrosaurus and Camarasaurus likely provided protection from predators, better access to food, and improved chances of survival for their young. Migratory behavior, as seen in some hadrosaur fossils, may have allowed certain dinosaurs to travel in search of food and suitable habitats during periods of seasonal or long-term environmental change, much like modern-day herbivores that migrate in response to food scarcity or climate shifts. Furthermore, dinosaurs adapted their diets to suit changing ecosystems. Herbivorous dinosaurs evolved teeth and jaws, capable of processing a wide variety of plant material, from soft ferns and cycads to tougher conifers and angiosperms. Carnivorous dinosaurs like Allosaurus evolved sharp, serrated teeth to tear into the flesh of prey, while omnivores could switch between plant and animal diets depending on availability. This dietary flexibility allowed dinosaurs to survive in ecosystems where specific food sources might become scarce due to climate fluctuations or habitat changes. Dinosaurs' ability to adapt physically and behaviorally to changing climates and ecosystems was crucial to their long-term success. Their capacity to evolve in response to new environmental pressures, diversify into different species, and develop complex social behaviors allowed them to thrive across a wide range of habitats and survive through significant geological and climatic changes over millions of years. How did the earliest theropods evolve into the apex predators of their time, and what traits made them successful hunters? The earliest theropods emerged during the late Triassic period, around 230 million years ago, and evolved into some of the most successful predators in the history of life on Earth. Theropods, a group of bipedal, mostly carnivorous dinosaurs, eventually gave rise to iconic species like Tyrannosaurus rex and Allosaurus, which dominated their ecosystems as apex predators. Their evolutionary success was driven by a combination of physical traits, hunting strategies, and adaptations that enabled them to outcompete other predators and thrive in diverse environments. One of the key traits that set theropods apart from other early reptiles was their bipedal posture. By standing on two legs, theropods were able to move more efficiently and at higher speeds than many of their quadrupedal competitors. This upright posture allowed them to cover large distances while hunting or chasing prey, giving them a distinct advantage over slower predators. The evolution of strong hind limbs, combined with flexible joints and lightweight bodies, made theropods agile hunters capable of pursuing fast-moving prey or quickly reacting to threats. Theropods also evolved highly specialized hunting tools that contributed to their success. Many theropods had sharp, serrated teeth designed to slice through flesh and bone, making them highly effective at tearing apart their prey. The shape and arrangement of these teeth were perfect for delivering deep, powerful bites, causing significant damage to prey animals and making it difficult for them to escape. Larger theropods, such as Tyrannosaurus rex, had jaws strong enough to crush bone, allowing them to consume nearly all parts of their prey, including bones and marrow, which provided an additional source of nutrition. Smaller theropods, like Velociraptor, had a different approach. They possessed sickle-shaped claws on their feet, which they used to slash at their prey, targeting vulnerable areas like the throat or abdomen. Another significant evolutionary trait of theropods was their forward-facing eyes, which gave them stereoscopic vision. This adaptation allowed them to perceive depth and judge distances more accurately, crucial for tracking and attacking prey. Many theropods also had relatively large brains compared to other dinosaurs, particularly in areas related to sensory processing and coordination. This increased brain capacity likely made theropods more intelligent hunters, enabling them to develop complex hunting strategies such as pack hunting or ambush tactics. Theropods were not only skilled hunters due to their physical traits, but they were also highly adaptable, which allowed them to thrive in a variety of environments. The ability to inhabit different ecosystems, from dense forests to arid deserts, was crucial to their long-term success. Early theropods evolved into a wide range of sizes and forms, from small, nimble hunters like Coelophysis to large apex predators like Allosaurus. This diversity allowed theropods to exploit different prey species and survive in regions where other predators could not. Social behavior may have also contributed to the success of certain theropods. Evidence from fossilized trackways and group fossil sites suggests that some theropods, like Deinonychus and Coelophysis, may have hunted in packs. Cooperative hunting would have allowed these theropods to take down larger prey that would have been impossible to overpower alone, giving them a significant advantage over solitary predators. This social behavior, coupled with their agility and strength, made them formidable hunters across multiple ecosystems. In conclusion, theropods evolved into the apex predators of their time through a combination of bipedal locomotion, specialized hunting adaptations, advanced vision, and the ability to adapt to different environments. These traits, along with the potential for social cooperation in hunting, allowed them to dominate terrestrial ecosystems and maintain their role as top predators for millions of years. How did carnivorous dinosaurs adapt their hunting techniques and diets as ecosystems changed? Carnivorous dinosaurs, particularly theropods, were highly adaptable hunters that evolved a wide range of hunting techniques and diets to match the changing ecosystems of the Mesozoic era. Over millions of years, as Earth's climate shifted, sea levels rose and fell, and the supercontinent Pangaea broke apart, dinosaurs had to adjust to new environmental pressures, prey availability, and competition. These changes drove carnivorous dinosaurs to evolve more specialized hunting strategies, dietary preferences, and physical adaptations that allowed them to thrive in diverse habitats. One of the most significant changes in dinosaur ecosystems occurred during the Jurassic and Cretaceous periods, when forests and grasslands became more widespread, providing new habitats for both herbivores and carnivores. As prey animals grew larger and more diverse, carnivorous dinosaurs like Allosaurus and Giganotosaurus adapted by evolving larger body sizes and more powerful jaws. These massive predators were well suited to hunting large herbivores like sauropods, using their size, strength, and sharp teeth to deliver fatal bites. In some cases, large theropods may have hunted in groups, working together to take down prey that would have been difficult to kill individually. This cooperative hunting strategy would have allowed them to target much larger animals than if they had hunted alone. At the same time, smaller theropods like Velociraptor and Deinonychus adapted different hunting strategies to exploit smaller prey. These agile, fast-moving predators used their speed and intelligence to outmaneuver herbivores, often relying on pack hunting to bring down their targets. Velociraptor, for example, had a retractable claw on each foot, which it used to slash at prey, immobilizing it before delivering a killing blow. These smaller theropods were also more opportunistic, likely scavenging from larger predators or hunting in groups to overwhelm prey. Their flexibility in hunting strategies allowed them to thrive in a variety of environments, from deserts to forests where prey size and availability varied greatly. In addition to evolving new hunting techniques, many carnivorous dinosaurs adapted their diets in response to changes in prey species and ecosystems. For example, theropods that lived in coastal or riverine environments like Spinosaurus evolved specialized adaptations for catching fish. Spinosaurus had long, conical teeth and a crocodile-like snout that was ideal for gripping slippery prey like fish. Its semi-aquatic lifestyle allowed it to exploit a niche that other theropods couldn't, giving it access to a relatively untapped food source. This dietary specialization enabled Spinosaurus to dominate aquatic ecosystems, while other theropods focused on terrestrial prey. Other theropods adapted to changing ecosystems by becoming more generalist hunters or scavengers. Tyrannosaurus rex, for example, evolved massive, bone-crushing jaws that allowed it to eat not only the flesh but also the bones of its prey, making it one of the most efficient carnivores of its time. Fossil evidence also suggests that T. rex may have been both a predator and a scavenger, capable of hunting live prey, as well as stealing kills from other predators or feeding on carcasses. This ability to switch between hunting and scavenging likely gave it an advantage in ecosystems where food sources could be unpredictable or where competition with other predators was intense. As ecosystems evolved, some carnivorous dinosaurs may have shifted their diets to include more omnivorous or opportunistic feeding behaviors. Small theropods like Compsognathus likely supplemented their diets with insects, small vertebrates, and even plant material, making them adaptable to environments where larger prey was scarce. This dietary flexibility would have been particularly important during times of environmental stress, such as after a natural disaster or when climates shifted, reducing the availability of large herbivorous prey. In conclusion, carnivorous dinosaurs adapted their hunting techniques and diets as ecosystems changed by evolving specialized physical traits, adopting flexible hunting strategies, and taking advantage of diverse food sources. Whether through cooperative hunting, scavenging, or dietary specialization, these adaptations allowed them to maintain their position as top predators in a variety of environments, ensuring their survival for millions of years. How did the evolution of plants during the Mesozoic era influence the diets and behaviors of herbivorous dinosaurs? The Mesozoic era, known as the Age of Dinosaurs, was also a period of significant plant evolution, and these changes played a crucial role in shaping the diets and behaviors of herbivorous dinosaurs. As plants diversified throughout the Triassic, Jurassic, and Cretaceous periods, dinosaurs adapted their feeding strategies to exploit the various types of vegetation that became available. This dynamic relationship between plants and herbivorous dinosaurs was essential to the ecological balance of the time, driving evolutionary changes in both groups. During the early Triassic period, the dominant vegetation consisted primarily of ferns, cycads, and conifers, primitive plants that lacked flowers and relied on spores or cones for reproduction. These plants were low-growing and widespread, forming the primary food source for early herbivorous dinosaurs like Plateosaurus, a sauropodomorph. These dinosaurs evolved long necks and peg-like teeth, well-suited for stripping leaves from trees and consuming vast quantities of tough plant material. Their large body sizes allowed them to process large amounts of this fibrous vegetation, which was necessary for meeting their nutritional needs in environments dominated by gymnosperms, non-flowering plants. As the Jurassic period began, new plant species such as taller cycads, ginkgos, and conifers emerged and thrived in the increasingly warm and humid climates. This shift in plant life led to changes in herbivorous dinosaur behaviors, particularly among the sauropods, which evolved even longer necks and larger bodies to reach the high canopy vegetation that other animals couldn't access. Dinosaurs like Brachiosaurus and Diplodocus could feed on treetops without needing to move frequently, giving them a distinct advantage in energy conservation. These adaptations allowed sauropods to dominate the Jurassic landscapes as the primary consumers of tall trees, fundamentally shaping the plant life in these ecosystems by preventing overgrowth and promoting the spread of certain plant species through selective grazing. The late Jurassic and early Cretaceous periods saw the rise of flowering plants, angiosperms, a revolutionary development in the plant kingdom. These plants reproduced quickly, using seeds enclosed in fruits and flowers, which attracted a variety of herbivores. Angiosperms spread rapidly, outcompeting many gymnosperms, and began to dominate ecosystems, especially in the Cretaceous. This new food source influenced the evolution of herbivorous dinosaurs, particularly those with more specialized feeding strategies. For example, hadrosaurs, duck-billed dinosaurs, evolved sophisticated dental batteries, rows of tightly packed teeth designed to grind tough plant material, including flowering plants. This adaptation allowed them to efficiently process fibrous plants, enabling them to take advantage of the newly available angiosperm-rich environments. Alongside changes in their teeth and feeding apparatus, herbivorous dinosaurs also developed new behaviors in response to evolving plant life. Some herbivores likely became more selective in their grazing habits, focusing on angiosperms or other fast-growing plants that provided higher nutritional content. This selective grazing may have helped shape the distribution and diversity of plant species, as certain plants thrived or declined based on herbivore preferences. The spread of flowering plants also influenced the migration patterns of herbivorous dinosaurs, as they followed the seasonal growth of new plants, similar to how modern herbivores migrate in response to changing food availability. The evolution of plants during the Mesozoic not only affected dinosaur diets, but also led to changes in ecosystem dynamics. The interaction between herbivorous dinosaurs and plants created a feedback loop. As dinosaurs consumed vegetation, they shaped the plant landscape, and in turn, plants evolved to meet the pressures of being grazed upon. This co-evolutionary relationship fostered the development of new plant species and allowed dinosaurs to continue evolving more specialized feeding mechanisms and behaviors. In conclusion, the evolution of plants during the Mesozoic era significantly influenced the diets and behaviors of herbivorous dinosaurs. As plants diversified, dinosaurs adapted to new food sources, evolving specialized traits like long necks, grinding teeth, and selective grazing behaviors. This dynamic relationship between plants and herbivores shaped the ecosystems of the time and contributed to the long-term success of herbivorous dinosaurs in the Mesozoic world. In what ways did herbivorous dinosaurs affect the evolution and spread of plants, particularly through grazing and seed dispersal? Herbivorous dinosaurs played a critical role in shaping plant evolution and distribution during the Mesozoic era. Through their grazing habits, feeding strategies, and movement across vast landscapes, these dinosaurs influenced plant diversity, growth patterns, and the spread of different species. The relationship between herbivorous dinosaurs and plants was one of mutual influence, where the actions of dinosaurs drove changes in plant communities, while plants in turn influenced dinosaur evolution. One of the most significant ways that herbivorous dinosaurs affected plant evolution was through selective grazing. Large herbivores like sauropods, such as Brachiosaurus and Diplodocus, fed primarily on gymnosperms, stripping leaves from tall trees and consuming enormous quantities of plant material. This grazing pressure would have had a profound impact on plant populations, particularly on slower-growing species like conifers. As sauropods foraged across their territories, they likely prevented certain plant species from overgrowing, allowing other plants, especially smaller and faster-growing species, to flourish. Over time, this selective pressure from herbivorous dinosaurs may have driven the evolution of plants that could better withstand grazing, such as developing tougher leaves, or growing in ways that made them less accessible to large herbivores. Additionally, the introduction of flowering plants, angiosperms, during the Cretaceous period dramatically altered the interaction between dinosaurs and plant life. Angiosperms, with their faster reproductive cycles and enclosed seeds, began to outcompete gymnosperms in many regions, partly due to their ability to recover quickly from grazing. Herbivorous dinosaurs such as hadrosaurs and ceratopsians adapted to feed on these new plants, which in turn may have accelerated the spread and diversification of angiosperms. The rapid growth and recovery of flowering plants likely supported larger populations of herbivores, creating a positive feedback loop where dinosaurs influenced plant distribution and the abundance of plants supported more herbivorous species. Herbivorous dinosaurs also played an important role in seed dispersal, particularly for angiosperms. As dinosaurs consumed fruits and seeds, some seeds passed through their digestive systems and were deposited in new locations via their feces. This process, known as endozookery, helped plants spread across vast distances, allowing them to colonize new areas. Given the large size and extensive range of many herbivorous dinosaurs, this form of seed dispersal would have been particularly effective in spreading plant species over large territories. Sauropods, with their ability to travel great distances in search of food, likely contributed to the spread of both gymnosperms and angiosperms as they moved across forests, plains, and other ecosystems. In addition to seed dispersal, the movement of large herbivorous dinosaurs may have helped create open spaces in dense forests, promoting plant growth in areas that would otherwise be shaded by towering trees. By trampling vegetation and creating clearings, these dinosaurs opened up areas for sunlight to reach the forest floor, allowing smaller plants and seedlings to grow. This behavior likely had a significant effect on the structure and diversity of plant communities, as some species thrived in these newly created open spaces, while others were reduced by grazing and trampling pressure. Furthermore, herbivorous dinosaurs influenced nutrient cycling in ecosystems through their waste. The large quantities of plant material they consumed were broken down in their digestive systems, and their feces returned essential nutrients like nitrogen and phosphorus back to the soil. This process of nutrient recycling likely enriched the soil and promoted plant growth, fostering more productive ecosystems. The impact of dinosaur grazing, trampling, and waste production helped shape the balance of plant species and maintained the health of Mesozoic ecosystems. In conclusion, herbivorous dinosaurs played a pivotal role in the evolution and spread of plants during the Mesozoic era. Through selective grazing, seed dispersal, and their effects on ecosystem dynamics, dinosaurs influenced plant diversity and growth patterns. This mutual relationship between plants and herbivores drove evolutionary changes in both groups, allowing for the development of diverse and thriving ecosystems that supported the dominance of dinosaurs for millions of years. How did the evolution of hard-shelled eggs help dinosaurs reproduce successfully in diverse environments? The evolution of hard-shelled eggs was a significant reproductive adaptation that allowed dinosaurs to thrive in a wide variety of environments, from deserts and forests to swamps and coastal plains. Unlike amphibians, which were tied to water for reproduction, dinosaurs, like other reptiles, were able to lay their eggs on land due to the development of amniotic eggs. These eggs contained all the necessary components to support the development of the embryo within a protective shell, which played a crucial role in the success and widespread distribution of dinosaurs. The primary advantage of hard-shelled eggs was their ability to retain moisture, allowing dinosaurs to lay their eggs in dry terrestrial environments without the risk of desiccation. The hard shell acted as a barrier, preventing water loss while still allowing the exchange of gases such as oxygen and carbon dioxide. This feature was particularly important in arid or semi-arid regions, where water sources were scarce. By freeing themselves from the need to lay eggs in or near water, dinosaurs were able to colonize and reproduce in a much wider range of habitats, from dry deserts to lush forests. The shell also provided physical protection against predators and environmental hazards. While not impervious, the hard shell made it more difficult for small predators, such as insects or small carnivorous animals, to access the embryo. In addition, the strength of the shell helped protect the developing embryo from environmental factors like pressure from soil or vegetation. This protection allowed dinosaur eggs to be buried in nests or hidden among vegetation, reducing the risk of predation or accidental damage. Beyond moisture retention and physical protection, the amniotic egg also contained several specialized membranes, such as the amnion, chorion, and allantois, that played critical roles in embryo development. The amnion created a fluid-filled sac that cushioned the developing embryo, while the allantois helped with waste removal and gas exchange. These membranes allowed for a self-contained environment where the embryo could develop independently of external water sources, making land-based reproduction possible. This independence was a major evolutionary leap that allowed dinosaurs to reproduce in a broader range of environments compared to amphibians, which needed to lay their eggs in water. The evolution of nesting behaviors also accompanied the development of hard-shelled eggs. Fossil evidence, such as nests and egg clutches, suggests that many dinosaurs exhibited parental care, guarding their nests and sometimes even tending to their young after hatching. The hard shells of the eggs provided a stable structure around which dinosaurs could build nests using soil, sand, or vegetation. For example, fossils of Maiasaura, a duck-billed dinosaur, show evidence of elaborate nesting sites where multiple generations may have nested in colonies. These nesting behaviors likely enhanced the survival rates of dinosaur offspring, as well-protected nests offered additional layers of security against predators and environmental threats. The hard-shelled egg's durability also allowed dinosaurs to exploit seasonal environments. Dinosaurs living in regions with distinct wet and dry seasons, or even colder climates, could time their egg-laying to coincide with optimal conditions, knowing that their eggs would be protected during embryonic development. For instance, some dinosaurs may have laid their eggs in the dry season, so that hatchlings would emerge when food and water were abundant. This reproductive flexibility would have been crucial in environments with fluctuating resources, giving dinosaurs an advantage over other reptiles and animals that lacked such sophisticated reproductive strategies. The evolution of hard-shelled eggs was a key factor in the reproductive success of dinosaurs, allowing them to lay eggs in diverse environments without relying on water sources. This adaptation, combined with nesting behaviors and the protective properties of the eggs, enabled dinosaurs to reproduce efficiently and ensure the survival of their species in a wide range of ecological niches across the Mesozoic era. What do fossilized dinosaur nests and eggs reveal about parental care and reproductive strategies among different species? Fossilized dinosaur nests and eggs provide valuable insights into the reproductive strategies and behaviors of various dinosaur species, including the extent of parental care. These fossils, found in locations across the globe, offer clues about how dinosaurs laid their eggs, protected their young, and even cared for their offspring after hatching. The variety of nest structures and egg arrangements also suggests that different species of dinosaurs evolved diverse reproductive strategies to maximize the survival of their young in different environments. One of the most important revelations from fossilized nests is the evidence of colonial nesting behavior in some species. Fossil discoveries of Maiasaura, a type of hadrosaur, show that these dinosaurs nested in large colonies with multiple nests found in close proximity to one another. These nests were constructed in carefully selected locations, often on raised ground to protect them from flooding, and were built with plant material or soil to provide insulation for the eggs. This behavior suggests a degree of social cooperation among Maiasaura individuals, where the presence of many nests in one area may have offered collective protection against predators. Furthermore, the arrangement of nests and the presence of juvenile fossils near the nests indicate that Maiasaura practiced extended parental care, returning to the nests to feed and protect their young even after they had hatched. The structure and arrangement of dinosaur nests also reveal insights into how different species adapted to their environments. For example, oviraptorids, small theropods closely related to birds, are known for their distinctive brooding behavior. Fossils of Oviraptor show individuals fossilized in a sitting position over clutches of eggs, with their arms spread wide as if they were incubating their eggs, much like modern birds. This posture suggests that oviraptorids may have actively regulated the temperature of their eggs, ensuring optimal conditions for embryo development. The circular arrangement of the eggs, with the mother in the center, points to a carefully coordinated nesting strategy, where the adult played an active role in guarding and caring for the eggs until they hatched. Other species, such as the large sauropods, likely had different reproductive strategies. Fossilized sauropod nests, found in locations such as Patagonia, reveal that these massive herbivores laid their eggs in simple, shallow pits dug into the ground. The eggs were often laid in clusters, and there is less evidence to suggest that sauropods provided much parental care after the eggs were laid. It is believed that sauropods may have relied more on quantity than quality, laying large numbers of eggs to ensure that at least some of the offspring survived to adulthood. This R strategy of reproduction, where many offspring are produced but with little parental investment, contrasts with the more K strategy observed in species like Maiasaura, where fewer offspring were produced, but more parental care was provided. Fossilized nests and eggs also reveal the diversity of reproductive strategies among theropods. Some smaller theropods, such as Troodon, appear to have evolved more sophisticated reproductive behaviors. Fossils show that Troodon laid their eggs in a pattern where only part of the egg was buried in the substrate, allowing the parents to incubate the exposed portions. This suggests a method of temperature regulation that was more advanced than simple burial, showing similarities to the incubation behaviors of modern birds. Additionally, the size, shape, and texture of dinosaur eggs offer clues about the reproductive strategies of different species. Hard-shelled eggs, for instance, were likely more resistant to environmental stressors like dehydration or predation, allowing dinosaurs to reproduce in drier environments. The placement of eggs in carefully constructed nests also suggests that many species were highly invested in ensuring the safety and survival of their offspring. In conclusion, fossilized dinosaur nests and eggs provide a wealth of information about the reproductive strategies of different species. From evidence of parental care and colony nesting to more passive strategies like mass egg-laying, these fossils reveal a complex picture of dinosaur reproduction. The diversity in nesting behaviors and parental investment highlights the evolutionary adaptations that allowed dinosaurs to succeed in a wide range of environments and ensure the survival of their young. How did dinosaur migration patterns help them survive changing climates and resource scarcity during the Mesozoic? Dinosaur migration was a key survival strategy that helped various species endure the changing climates and shifting availability of resources throughout the Mesozoic era. As Earth's climate fluctuated, often drastically, dinosaurs adapted by moving across vast distances in search of food, water, and suitable breeding grounds. Fossil evidence, such as trackways and bone beds, indicates that some dinosaurs likely migrated seasonally, much like many large animals today. These migration patterns were critical in allowing dinosaurs to survive periods of resource scarcity and environmental stress. One of the primary drivers of dinosaur migration was the changing climate of the Mesozoic. Throughout this era, Earth experienced periods of extreme warmth, fluctuating sea levels, and even volcanic activity that disrupted local ecosystems. For example, the breakup of the supercontinent Pangaea during the Jurassic and Cretaceous periods created new coastal and inland environments with varied climates. Dinosaurs living in regions that experienced seasonal shifts, such as periods of drought followed by wet seasons, likely migrated to find more favorable conditions. Large herbivorous dinosaurs, such as hadrosaurs and sauropods, would have been particularly affected by seasonal changes in plant availability. By moving to areas where vegetation was more abundant, these herbivores could ensure a steady food supply, which was essential for their survival. Fossilized dinosaur trackways found in places like North America suggest that herds of dinosaurs, including hadrosaurs, likely traveled great distances together in search of food and water. These mass migrations would have provided several advantages. Traveling in groups not only protected individuals from predators, but it also increased the likelihood that the herd would successfully locate resources. Much like modern-day wildebeest migrations, these movements were likely driven by seasonal patterns in rainfall and vegetation growth, with dinosaurs following the lush growth of plants in wetter regions during dry seasons. For carnivorous dinosaurs, migration patterns were tied to the movement of herbivores. Large theropods, such as Tyrannosaurus rex, likely followed herds of herbivorous dinosaurs as they moved in search of food. The ability to track prey over long distances would have been essential for large predators, ensuring they had access to a consistent food source even as prey animals moved between regions. Smaller, more agile carnivores like Velociraptor may have adapted to follow these migratory herds, taking advantage of the prey opportunities that arose when herbivores were concentrated in specific areas during migration. Migration also allowed dinosaurs to access different breeding and nesting sites, which could have been critical for species that required specific environmental conditions for successful reproduction. For instance, some dinosaurs may have migrated to coastal or wetland areas to lay their eggs, where the moist environment offered protection from desiccation and easier access to food for the hatchlings. This behavior is comparable to that of modern sea turtles, which migrate to specific beaches to lay their eggs. Fossil evidence of nesting sites, such as those of Maiasaura, suggests that some dinosaurs return to the same locations year after year to lay their eggs, indicating a migratory pattern tied to reproductive success. In addition to searching for food and nesting grounds, migration may have helped dinosaurs avoid extreme environmental conditions, such as prolonged droughts or volcanic activity. During the Mesozoic, volcanic eruptions and asteroid impacts could have caused sudden, localized changes in climate, including cooling or toxic ash clouds. Dinosaurs capable of migrating to safer regions would have been better equipped to survive these environmental disasters. For example, during the end of the Cretaceous period, when the asteroid impact and volcanic eruptions devastated ecosystems, dinosaurs that were able to move to more stable regions may have had a survival advantage, although the scale of the extinction ultimately overwhelmed even migratory species. In conclusion, dinosaur migration patterns were a vital adaptive strategy that allowed them to survive changing climates, resource scarcity, and environmental challenges during the Mesozoic. By migrating in search of food, water, and suitable breeding grounds, dinosaurs were able to thrive in dynamic ecosystems, ensuring their long-term success as some of the dominant animals of the time. How do fossilized trackways and bone beds provide evidence for dinosaur migration and social behavior? Fossilized trackways and bone beds offer some of the clearest evidence for dinosaur migration and social behavior, providing a window into the movement patterns and group dynamics of these ancient animals. These geological features have been discovered around the world, revealing much about how dinosaurs traveled, interacted with each other, and survived in their environments. Trackways, in particular, allow scientists to infer whether dinosaurs traveled in herds, migrated seasonally, or moved in response to environmental pressures, while bone beds, large collections of fossilized bones, can indicate mass gatherings or deaths linked to migration events. One of the most compelling examples of dinosaur migration comes from fossilized trackways, which show clear signs of group movement over long distances. These trackways often consist of multiple sets of footprints, sometimes from the same species, all moving in the same direction. This pattern suggests that dinosaurs traveled in groups, much like modern herd animals, potentially for protection, resource management, or reproductive purposes. For example, trackways found in North America, such as those left by hadrosaurs, show evidence of large herds moving together across open plains. The consistent direction and spacing of the tracks suggest coordinated movement, likely in search of seasonal food sources or water. The size and composition of these herds varied depending on the species. Some trackways show evidence of mixed-age groups, with both adults and juveniles traveling together. This indicates a high level of social structure, where younger or more vulnerable individuals were protected by the group. The presence of juvenile tracks alongside adult tracks, particularly in herbivorous dinosaurs like hadrosaurs or sauropods, suggests that these species may have engaged in cooperative parenting or group defense against predators. This social behavior would have been especially advantageous for dinosaurs that migrated, as traveling in numbers offered better protection from carnivorous species that may have targeted weaker or smaller individuals. Bone beds provide further evidence of migration and social behavior, especially when large numbers of fossils are found together in one location. These sites, often referred to as mass death assemblages, suggest that dinosaurs gathered in large numbers, possibly as part of migratory behavior. In some cases, these assemblages are linked to environmental events, such as flash floods or droughts, which may have led to the death of entire herds during migration. For example, a famous bone bed in Alberta, Canada, contains the remains of hundreds of centrosaurine ceratopsians that appear to have died in a single event, likely a mass drowning during a flood. Such events are thought to have occurred during seasonal migrations, when dinosaurs were moving across rivers or low-lying areas that could flood suddenly. Bone beds can also reveal clues about social behavior beyond migration. The sheer number of fossils found in these locations suggests that certain species of dinosaurs gathered in large groups for more than just travel. For instance, nesting sites found in Patagonia show that some species of sauropods return to the same locations year after year to lay eggs. These communal nesting grounds filled with fossilized eggs indicate that these dinosaurs likely lived in large, socially organized groups, similar to modern birds or reptiles that gather in colonies during breeding seasons. The discovery of predator trackways, often found near herbivore trackways, offers additional insights into the interactions between migrating dinosaurs and their predators. In some cases, trackways suggest that carnivorous dinosaurs such as theropods may have followed herds of herbivores, targeting individuals that lagged behind. This predator-prey dynamic likely influenced the social and migratory behavior of herbivorous dinosaurs, which would have needed to stay together in large groups to protect themselves from predation. In conclusion, fossilized trackways and bone beds provide strong evidence for dinosaur migration and social behavior. Trackways reveal coordinated group movement, while bone beds show how dinosaurs gathered in large numbers, possibly for breeding or protection. Together, these fossils paint a picture of dynamic, socially organized species that migrated across vast landscapes, adapting to environmental changes and surviving through collective strategies. How did dinosaurs adapt to different ecosystems during the Cretaceous period as Earth's environments became more specialized? During the Cretaceous period, Earth's environments became more specialized, marked by a variety of ecosystems ranging from dense forests and swamps to open plains, deserts, and coastal regions. Dinosaurs, already highly adaptable creatures, evolved further to exploit the unique niches these ecosystems provided. This period saw a dramatic diversification of dinosaur species, with adaptations in body size, feeding strategies, and behavior allowing different groups to thrive in distinct environments. One of the key ways dinosaurs adapted was through changes in body size and shape, allowing them to specialize in specific habitats. For instance, large herbivores like Triceratops and Edmontosaurus evolved in the late Cretaceous to graze on low-lying vegetation in open plains, which were becoming more common. These dinosaurs had robust bodies and powerful jaws, equipped with dental batteries to process tough plants. Their large size provided protection from predators, while their ability to consume vast amounts of vegetation helped them survive in environments with fluctuating resources. In contrast, smaller herbivores like Laeorhinosaura, which lived in the polar regions of what is now Australia, adapted to the colder, more forested environments of the southern Cretaceous. This dinosaur had large eyes, suggesting an adaptation to low-light conditions, which would have been essential for surviving the months of darkness experienced during polar winters. Its small size and agility allowed it to forage for food in dense forests, where larger dinosaurs may have struggled to navigate. Such adaptations highlight the diverse strategies dinosaurs employed to thrive in the increasingly specialized ecosystems of the Cretaceous. Carnivorous dinosaurs also evolved unique adaptations to succeed in these changing environments. Theropods like Tyrannosaurus rex, which dominated the North American plains, developed powerful jaws and sharp teeth designed to crush bone, enabling them to hunt large prey like hadrosaurs and ceratopsians. Their keen sense of smell and binocular vision made them highly effective predators in the open habitats where prey could be spotted from a distance. Meanwhile, in more forested environments, smaller theropods like Velociraptor used their speed and agility to hunt smaller prey. Their sharp, retractable claws and pack-hunting behavior made them formidable predators in denser environments, where quick, coordinated attacks were essential for success. The rise of angiosperms, flowering plants, during the Cretaceous also played a significant role in shaping dinosaur adaptation. Angiosperms spread rapidly across various ecosystems, offering new food sources for herbivorous dinosaurs. Dinosaurs like Iguanodon evolved specialized teeth and jaws to feed on these new plants, which were often softer and more nutrient-rich than the gymnosperms that had dominated earlier periods. This dietary shift allowed certain herbivores to exploit ecosystems that were previously less accessible, such as forested regions where angiosperms grew in abundance. In coastal and semi-aquatic environments, dinosaurs adapted in ways that allowed them to exploit aquatic or shoreline resources. Spinosaurus, one of the largest theropods of the Cretaceous, evolved a long, crocodile-like snout and conical teeth, perfectly suited for catching fish. Its semi-aquatic lifestyle allowed it to dominate river systems and coastal wetlands, where it likely preyed on both fish and smaller terrestrial dinosaurs. Spinosaurus's elongated body and paddle-like limbs suggest it was well adapted to swimming, allowing it to move efficiently in water, an unusual trait for a theropod dinosaur. In conclusion, dinosaurs during the Cretaceous period adapted to the increasingly specialized ecosystems by evolving distinct body shapes, sizes, and feeding strategies. Whether living in open plains, dense forests, polar regions, or coastal environments, dinosaurs diversified and specialized to thrive in these varied habitats. Their ability to adapt to changing ecosystems was key to their success during the final era of their reign. How did the rise of flowering plants, angiosperms, during the Cretaceous influence the evolution of herbivorous dinosaurs? The rise of flowering plants, or angiosperms, during the Cretaceous period dramatically altered ecosystems and had a profound impact on the evolution of herbivorous dinosaurs. Angiosperms, which first appeared around 125 million years ago, spread rapidly and soon dominated many environments, offering new food sources that required herbivorous dinosaurs to adapt their feeding strategies and behaviors. The diversification of plant life during this time led to a corresponding diversification in dinosaur species, as different herbivores evolved specialized traits to exploit these new resources. Before the Cretaceous, the dominant plant life included ferns, cycads, and conifers, which were primarily consumed by large, long-necked herbivores like sauropods. These plants were tough and fibrous, requiring dinosaurs to develop specialized teeth and digestive systems to break down the plant material. However, the appearance of angiosperms introduced new varieties of vegetation, including leaves, fruits, and flowers, which were often softer and more nutrient-rich than the gymnosperms that preceded them. One of the major adaptations herbivorous dinosaurs made in response to angiosperms was the evolution of more sophisticated dental structures. Dinosaurs like Iguanodon and hadrosaurs, such as Edmontosaurus, developed complex dental batteries composed of hundreds of teeth designed for grinding and slicing through tough plant material. These teeth, which were continuously replaced throughout the dinosaur's life, allowed them to efficiently process a wide variety of plant types, including the new flowering plants. This adaptation gave them a competitive edge in environments where angiosperms were becoming the dominant form of vegetation. The spread of angiosperms also likely influenced the size and shape of herbivorous dinosaurs. Smaller dinosaurs, such as Laeolinosaura, may have benefited from the increased abundance of low-growing plants, allowing them to feed on vegetation closer to the ground without competing with larger herbivores. On the other hand, large herbivores like hadrosaurs evolved to take advantage of vast fields of flowering plants, which provided an abundant and easily accessible food source. The increased nutritional value of angiosperms compared to earlier plants may have supported larger populations of herbivorous dinosaurs, contributing to the rise of vast herds that roamed the Cretaceous landscapes. The reproductive strategies of angiosperms, which often relied on animals for seed dispersal, likely created a mutually beneficial relationship between these plants and herbivorous dinosaurs. As dinosaurs fed on fruits and flowers, they would have ingested seeds, which were then dispersed through their feces, helping to spread angiosperms over large areas. This interaction between plants and dinosaurs helped shape ecosystems and promoted the spread of flowering plants across the globe. Additionally, the rise of angiosperms may have driven evolutionary changes in dinosaur behavior. The increased availability of high-quality food in the form of flowering plants could have supported more complex social structures such as the herding behavior seen in hadrosaurs. Fossil evidence suggests that some hadrosaur species lived in large groups, migrating in search of food and water. The abundance of angiosperms may have made such large-scale migrations more feasible, as these plants were capable of quickly colonizing new areas and providing a reliable food source for migrating herds. In conclusion, the rise of flowering plants during the Cretaceous period had a profound influence on the evolution of herbivorous dinosaurs. The introduction of angiosperms as a new, nutrient-rich food source drove the development of specialized teeth, feeding strategies and behaviors among herbivores, allowing them to thrive in increasingly diverse and complex ecosystems. The interaction between dinosaurs and angiosperms not only shaped the evolution of herbivores, but also contributed to the success and spread of flowering plants during the Cretaceous. 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 What killed the dinosaurs? How do various theories about the mass extinction event 66 million years ago differ, and what evidence supports the asteroid impact hypothesis? The mass extinction event that wiped out the dinosaurs around 66 million years ago, marking the end of the Cretaceous period and the dawn of the Paleogene, is one of the most studied and debated events in Earth's history. While many theories have been proposed, the asteroid impact hypothesis remains the most widely supported explanation for this mass extinction. However, other theories, such as massive volcanic activity and climate change, also provide insights into the environmental upheavals that may have contributed to the dinosaurs' demise. Examining the different theories and the evidence that supports them helps us understand the catastrophic events that led to the end of the dinosaurs. The most popular and well-supported explanation is the asteroid impact hypothesis, also known as the Alvarez hypothesis, named after the scientists who first proposed it in 1980. This theory suggests that a massive asteroid approximately 10 to 15 kilometers in diameter struck Earth near the present-day Yucatan Peninsula, forming what is now known as the Chicxulub crater. The impact would have released an unimaginable amount of energy, equivalent to billions of atomic bombs, triggering widespread fires, earthquakes, and tsunamis. The impact also ejected vast quantities of dust and debris into the atmosphere, blocking sunlight and plunging the planet into a prolonged period of darkness and cooling known as an impact winter. The evidence supporting the asteroid hypothesis is compelling. In the late 1970s, geologists discovered a worldwide layer of sediment rich in iridium, a rare element found in high concentrations in asteroids and comets. This iridium-rich layer, known as the KT boundary, now referred to as the KPG boundary, dates precisely to the time of the dinosaur extinction, providing a direct link between the impact and the mass extinction event. The discovery of the Chicxulub crater, which measures over 150 kilometers in diameter, further solidified the asteroid impact theory. Geological evidence from the crater shows that it was formed by a massive impact around 66 million years ago, coinciding with the KPG boundary and the global extinction event. The immediate effects of the asteroid impact would have been catastrophic. Upon impact, The asteroid likely vaporized a significant portion of the Earth's crust, releasing superheated rock and gas into the atmosphere. This material would have ignited wildfires across vast areas, adding to the devastation. The impact winter that followed would have caused a dramatic drop in global temperatures, severely disrupting photosynthesis and leading to the collapse of food chains. With plants unable to grow, herbivorous dinosaurs would have starved, and in turn, carnivorous dinosaurs would have lost their primary food source. This chain reaction would have wiped out the majority of dinosaur species within a relatively short period of time. However, while the asteroid impact hypothesis is widely accepted, other theories suggest additional factors that may have contributed to the extinction, either in conjunction with the asteroid or as part of a broader pattern of environmental disruption. One of the leading alternative theories involves massive volcanic activity, specifically the eruption of the Deccan Traps in what is now India. These volcanic eruptions, which began around the same time as the asteroid impact, released enormous quantities of volcanic gases, including sulfur dioxide and carbon dioxide, into the atmosphere. Sulfur dioxide would have caused short-term cooling by reflecting sunlight, while carbon dioxide would have led to long-term warming through the greenhouse effect. This combination of cooling and warming could have created unstable climate conditions, making it difficult for species to adapt. Evidence supporting the volcanic hypothesis includes layers of lava flows in the Deccan Traps that coincide with the KPG boundary. Additionally, some scientists argue that volcanic activity might have already been weakening ecosystems before the asteroid struck, causing stress to the dinosaurs and other species. The combination of volcanic-induced climate change and the asteroid impact may have created a perfect storm of environmental catastrophes that the dinosaurs could not survive. Other theories propose that a combination of factors, including sea level changes and disease, may have played a role in the extinction. As sea levels fluctuated during the late Cretaceous, coastal habitats would have been affected, potentially disrupting the ecosystems dinosaurs relied on. Additionally, some scientists speculate that diseases may have spread among dinosaur populations, weakening them and making them more vulnerable to environmental changes. In conclusion, while the asteroid impact hypothesis remains the leading explanation for the mass extinction event that killed the dinosaurs, other theories, such as volcanic activity, climate change, and sea level fluctuations, may have contributed to their demise. The evidence, including the iridium layer and the Chicxulub crater, strongly supports the asteroid impact as the primary cause, but ongoing research continues to explore how multiple factors may have combined to create one of the most devastating extinction events in Earth's history. Could multiple factors such as volcanic activity, climate shifts, and disease have worked together to drive dinosaurs to extinction? While the asteroid impact hypothesis is the most widely accepted explanation for the mass extinction of dinosaurs, there is growing support for the idea that multiple factors, such as volcanic activity, climate shifts, and possibly disease, work together to drive dinosaurs to extinction. This multi-causal theory suggests that a combination of environmental stresses may have already weakened ecosystems and dinosaur populations before the asteroid impact, making them more vulnerable to extinction when the final catastrophic event occurred. Volcanic activity, particularly the eruption of the Deccan Traps, is often cited as a significant contributing factor. These eruptions, which spanned hundreds of thousands of years, released vast amounts of sulfur dioxide and carbon dioxide into the atmosphere, causing climate fluctuations that would have placed considerable stress on ecosystems. Sulfur dioxide likely caused short-term global cooling, while carbon dioxide would have triggered longer-term warming through the greenhouse effect. This rapid climate change could have disrupted plant growth, which would have had a cascading effect on food chains. Herbivorous dinosaurs would have struggled to find food, and carnivorous dinosaurs would have faced a shortage of prey. Additionally, volcanic activity would have caused acid rain, which could have further damaged plant life and water sources. The timing of the Deccan Traps eruptions is crucial to this theory. Some evidence suggests that volcanic activity intensified just before the asteroid impact, meaning that ecosystems may have been under significant strain before the final blow. Fossil evidence shows that many species of dinosaurs were already in decline during the late Cretaceous period, leading some scientists to propose that the asteroid impact was the final nail in the coffin rather than the sole cause of extinction. Climate shifts were another major factor that could have contributed to the extinction. During the late Cretaceous, Earth was experiencing significant changes in sea levels, likely due to tectonic activity and the breakup of the supercontinent Pangaea. As sea levels rose and fell, coastal ecosystems were disrupted, and many species may have lost their habitats. Changes in ocean currents and temperature patterns could have affected weather systems, leading to more extreme conditions such as droughts or storms. Dinosaurs that relied on stable environments for feeding and breeding would have struggled to survive in these unpredictable conditions. And disease is another factor that could have contributed to the extinction, although evidence for this is more speculative. As dinosaur populations became more isolated due to shifting habitats and climate change, the spread of diseases could have been more devastating. Large, densely populated herds of herbivorous dinosaurs would have been particularly vulnerable to outbreaks, which could have decimated entire populations. Although there is no direct fossil evidence of widespread disease during the late Cretaceous, the idea that disease could have weakened dinosaur populations before the asteroid impact remains a possibility. The multi-causal theory suggests that these various factors, volcanic activity, climate shifts, sea level changes, and possibly disease, combined to create a prolonged period of environmental stress that weakened ecosystems. By the time the asteroid struck, many species were already struggling to survive. The asteroid impact, with its catastrophic effects on global climate and ecosystems, would have been the final event that pushed dinosaurs and many other species over the edge into extinction. In conclusion, while the asteroid impact is still considered the primary cause of the dinosaur extinction, it is increasingly clear that multiple factors may have contributed to their demise. The combination of volcanic activity, climate changes, and other environmental stresses may have created a perfect storm that left the dinosaurs vulnerable to the asteroid's devastating impact, resulting in one of the most dramatic extinction events in Earth's history. How might massive volcanic eruptions like those in the Deccan Traps have altered Earth's climate and contributed to the decline of dinosaur populations? The massive volcanic eruptions that occurred in the Deccan Traps in what is now India are believed to have played a significant role in the decline of dinosaur populations before the asteroid impact. These eruptions, which began around 66 million years ago and spanned hundreds of thousands of years, released enormous quantities of volcanic gases, ash, and lava over a vast area, covering over 500,000 square kilometers. The impact of this volcanic activity on Earth's climate was profound, creating a series of environmental changes that placed tremendous stress on ecosystems and likely contributed to the extinction of the dinosaurs. One of the most immediate effects of the Deccan Traps eruptions was the release of large amounts of sulfur dioxide, SO2, into the atmosphere. When sulfur dioxide mixes with water vapor in the atmosphere, it forms sulfuric acid aerosols which reflect sunlight away from Earth. This process would have caused global temperatures to drop, leading to what is known as a volcanic winter. During such a cooling period, the reduced amount of sunlight reaching the Earth's surface would have slowed photosynthesis, severely impacting plant life. With plants struggling to grow, herbivorous dinosaurs would have faced a significant food shortage, weakening their populations. In turn, carnivorous dinosaurs would have lost their primary food source, leading to further disruptions in the food chain. The cooling caused by the volcanic winter would not have been the only climate shift triggered by the Deccan Traps eruptions. Over the long term, the release of carbon dioxide, CO2, from volcanic activity would have led to global warming. Carbon dioxide is a potent greenhouse gas, and as it accumulated in the atmosphere, it would have trapped heat, causing Earth's temperatures to rise. This long-term warming would have compounded the environmental stresses, leading to unstable climate conditions. The combination of volcanic winters, followed by periods of global warming, could have created severe fluctuations in temperature, making it difficult for ecosystems to recover and for species to adapt. In addition to cooling and warming, the eruptions would have caused acid rain, as sulfuric acid aerosols mixed with rainwater. Acid rain would have further damaged plant life, leaching nutrients from the soil and making it even more difficult for vegetation to grow. This environmental stress would have affected not only the dinosaurs, but also other species that relied on plants for food, shelter, or other ecological functions. Acidification of water sources could have also impacted aquatic ecosystems, leading to declines in freshwater species that would have reverberated throughout the food web. Fossil evidence suggests that many dinosaur species were already in decline during the late Cretaceous period, even before the asteroid impact. The prolonged volcanic activity of the Deccan Traps may have been a contributing factor in this decline, as the repeated environmental stresses caused by volcanic eruptions weakened ecosystems and made them more vulnerable to further disturbances. Herbivorous dinosaurs, in particular, would have been severely impacted by the loss of plant life, leading to population reductions and localized extinctions. In conclusion, the massive volcanic eruptions of the Deccan Traps likely altered Earth's climate in several profound ways, including causing short-term cooling, long-term warming, and acid rain. These environmental changes would have placed significant stress on ecosystems, contributing to the decline of dinosaur populations even before the asteroid impact. While the asteroid is widely regarded as the primary cause of the dinosaurs' extinction, the volcanic activity in the Deccan Traps may have set the stage by weakening ecosystems and pushing species to the brink of collapse. What evidence suggests that volcanic activity alongside the asteroid impact could have created a deadly combination of environmental factors? The idea that volcanic activity, specifically the Deccan Traps eruptions, alongside the asteroid impact created a deadly combination of environmental factors leading to the extinction of the dinosaurs, is supported by a variety of geological and fossil evidence. While the Chicxulub asteroid impact is widely considered the immediate cause of the mass extinction, the evidence increasingly points to the fact that Earth's ecosystems were already under significant stress from volcanic activity. Together, these events created a series of environmental catastrophes that would have been nearly impossible for the dinosaurs and many other species to survive. One of the strongest pieces of evidence supporting the role of volcanic activity in the extinction is the timing of the Deccan Traps eruptions. Geological dating shows that the most intense period of volcanic activity in the Deccan Traps occurred within a few 100,000 years of the asteroid impact, right around the time of the KPG boundary, formerly known as the KT boundary. This close temporal relationship suggests that the eruptions and the asteroid impact were not independent events, but rather overlapping environmental disasters that amplified each other's effects. Volcanic activity in the Deccan Traps released vast amounts of sulfur dioxide and carbon dioxide into the atmosphere, leading to both short-term cooling and long-term warming, as previously mentioned. These climate shifts would have already begun destabilizing ecosystems when the asteroid struck, exacerbating the environmental damage caused by the impact. The asteroid impact is thought to have caused a dramatic impact winter, blocking out sunlight and further disrupting photosynthesis. If Earth's climate had already been experiencing fluctuations due to volcanic activity, the asteroid's effects would have been much more severe. Plants and animals that were already struggling to survive in an unstable climate would have been pushed to the edge by the sudden global darkness and cooling caused by the asteroid. The combined effects of these two catastrophic events would have created a cascade of environmental disasters. Volcanic activity would have contributed to ocean acidification through the release of sulfuric acid and carbon dioxide, making marine ecosystems more vulnerable to the asteroid's aftermath. The asteroid impact is believed to have caused massive tsunamis, particularly in the Gulf of Mexico region, where the impact occurred. These tsunamis would have devastated coastal ecosystems, many of which were already stressed by climate change and acidification caused by volcanic activity. Furthermore, the release of carbon dioxide from both the Deccan Traps and the asteroid impact would have led to global warming after the initial cooling period. This rapid shift from cooling to warming would have caused extreme environmental instability. Dinosaurs, already weakened by food shortages, habitat loss, and disrupted ecosystems, would have had little chance to adapt to such rapid and extreme climate changes. Fossil records also support the idea that the combination of volcanic activity and the asteroid impact led to widespread extinction. Fossils from the late Cretaceous show a decline in species diversity even before the asteroid struck, suggesting that many species were already struggling to survive. This decline is particularly evident in marine ecosystems, where acidification and warming caused by volcanic gases may have already been taking a toll. The asteroid impact likely delivered the final blow to these already weakened ecosystems, causing a mass extinction that wiped out approximately 75% of all species on Earth, including the non-avian dinosaurs. In conclusion, the evidence strongly suggests that volcanic activity from the Deccan Traps, combined with the asteroid impact, created a deadly combination of environmental factors that led to the extinction of the dinosaurs. The close timing of these events, the climate shifts caused by volcanic gases, and the widespread environmental destruction caused by the asteroid impact all point to a scenario where multiple disasters overlapped, amplifying the effects of each other and leading to one of the most significant extinction events in Earth's history. How might the world look today if dinosaurs had survived the mass extinction event? Would humans and dinosaurs coexist? If dinosaurs had survived the mass extinction event 66 million years ago, the world today would likely look radically different, with the possibility of humans and dinosaurs coexisting on the same planet. The mass extinction wiped out approximately 75% of Earth's species, including the non-avian dinosaurs, which made way for the rise of mammals and, eventually, humans. Had dinosaurs survived, the evolutionary trajectory of life on Earth might have taken an entirely different path, and mammals, including humans, might never have achieved the dominant status they hold today. One of the most significant implications of dinosaurs surviving would be their continued dominance as the planet's apex land animals. Dinosaurs had already been thriving for over 160 million years before the asteroid impact, evolving into a vast array of species adapted to diverse environments, from massive herbivores like Argentinosaurus to agile predators like Velociraptor. If they had continued to evolve over the last 66 million years, it's possible they would have diversified even further, filling even more ecological niches and preventing mammals from expanding into many habitats. This would likely mean that large predatory dinosaurs would still roam the planet, competing with mammals for resources or even preventing the rise of large mammalian species altogether. Had dinosaurs remained dominant, the evolution of mammals might have been stunted. In the real timeline, mammals experienced a rapid diversification after the dinosaurs' extinction, evolving into a wide range of forms, including primates, which eventually led to the emergence of humans. If dinosaurs had survived, they might have kept mammals confined to small, nocturnal niches, much like they did during the Mesozoic era. In this scenario, it is less likely that large, intelligent mammals like primates would have evolved into the dominant species on Earth. Without the opportunity to diversify and expand into larger ecological roles, the evolution of primates and thus humans might never have happened. However, if dinosaurs and mammals did coexist and humans eventually evolved, the world would look dramatically different. Humans would have had to contend with the presence of large, dangerous dinosaurs, much like early humans dealt with megafauna such as saber-toothed cats and mammoths. The presence of massive carnivores like Tyrannosaurus rex or intelligent pack hunters like Deinonychus would have posed significant challenges to human survival, potentially altering the development of human societies. Early human ancestors might have developed different survival strategies, such as more advanced tools, weapons, and defensive tactics to protect themselves from such formidable predators. The existence of dinosaurs in modern times would also have profound implications for ecosystems and global biodiversity. Many of the ecosystems that evolved after the dinosaurs' extinction, such as grasslands, rainforests, and modern savannas, would likely look very different. Dinosaurs, particularly large herbivores, would have shaped the landscape through their feeding habits, much like modern elephants do today by knocking down trees and creating clearings. The presence of giant herbivores like sauropods could have prevented the rise of certain plant species or even entire ecosystems that rely on the absence of large grazers. In addition, dinosaurs would have occupied top predator positions in most ecosystems, limiting the spread and evolution of large carnivorous mammals, such as lions, tigers, and wolves. If humans had still managed to evolve and establish civilizations in a world shared with dinosaurs, the relationship between humans and these ancient reptiles would likely be complex. Dinosaurs could have been seen as dangerous predators to be avoided or hunted, similar to how early humans dealt with megafauna. Alternatively, humans might have attempted to domesticate or exploit dinosaurs for transportation, labor, or even food, although the sheer size and strength of most dinosaurs would have made such endeavors incredibly challenging. The cultural significance of dinosaurs would have been immense, with dinosaurs likely becoming central figures in human mythology, religion, and storytelling. In conclusion, had dinosaurs survived the mass extinction event, the world today would be vastly different, with the possible coexistence of humans and dinosaurs shaping ecosystems, human evolution, and civilization in profound ways. The continued dominance of dinosaurs would have altered the evolutionary path of mammals, potentially preventing the rise of humans or significantly changing the way human societies developed in a world filled with these ancient giants. Could certain species of dinosaurs have continued to evolve into even more advanced forms if they had not been wiped out? If dinosaurs had not been wiped out by the mass extinction event 66 million years ago, it is highly likely that certain species could have continued to evolve into more advanced forms, potentially filling ecological niches in ways that modern mammals have done. Evolutionary trends within the dinosaur clade suggest that many groups were already undergoing significant adaptations before their extinction, and had they survived, they could have continued to diversify, giving rise to even more specialized or intelligent species. One of the most intriguing possibilities is the continued evolution of theropods, particularly the smaller bird-like dinosaurs such as Troodon and Deinonychus. These dinosaurs were among the most intelligent of their time, possessing relatively large brain-to-body ratios compared to other species. Troodon, for example, had keen senses and a well-developed brain, suggesting that it was capable of complex behaviors, including advanced hunting strategies and possibly social cooperation. If these species had survived the extinction, it is conceivable that they could have evolved even greater intelligence, potentially leading to dinosaur species with cognitive abilities approaching those of modern primates. Some paleontologists have speculated that if theropods like Troodon had continued to evolve, they could have given rise to a more intelligent, upright walking species resembling birds or even early humans. This speculative creature, sometimes referred to as a dinosauroid, would likely have had large, forward-facing eyes for depth perception, hands with opposable digits for manipulating objects, and a more complex social structure. Although this idea is purely hypothetical, it raises interesting questions about the potential evolutionary paths that could have been taken if dinosaurs had not been wiped out. In addition to the evolution of intelligence, dinosaurs may have continued to diversify physically. The Cretaceous period saw the rise of a wide range of body forms, from armored herbivores like Ankylosaurus to massive sauropods like Argentinosaurus and fast, agile predators like Velociraptor. This diversity suggests that dinosaurs were still rapidly evolving when they were abruptly wiped out. Given enough time, it's likely that they would have continued to evolve into even more specialized forms. For example, herbivorous dinosaurs could have developed new feeding mechanisms to exploit flowering plants, which were becoming more dominant during the Cretaceous. These changes could have led to new physical adaptations, such as more complex dental structures or novel methods for processing tough vegetation. Furthermore, dinosaurs could have evolved new strategies for dealing with environmental changes. As Earth's climate cooled toward the end of the Cretaceous, some species of dinosaurs were already showing signs of adaptation to colder conditions. Dinosaurs living near the poles, such as Liaelinosaura, were adapted to long periods of darkness and cooler climates. If they had survived the mass extinction, it's possible that some dinosaurs would have continued to evolve to cope with colder, more seasonal environments, perhaps developing thicker feathers, or even hibernation behaviors, similar to some modern mammals. It's also important to consider that evolution often leads to unexpected innovations. Just as mammals evolved flight, bats, marine adaptations, whales, and intelligence, primates, dinosaurs could have evolved in directions we can't fully predict. Flying dinosaurs, pterosaurs, had already adapted to the skies, and it's possible that non-avian dinosaurs could have developed even more specialized forms of flight or gliding. Additionally, marine reptiles like mosasaurs had taken to the oceans, suggesting that other dinosaurs could have evolved semi-aquatic or fully aquatic lifestyles, similar to how mammals gave rise to species like seals and whales. In conclusion, if dinosaurs had not been wiped out, it's very likely that certain species would have continued to evolve into more advanced forms, both in terms of physical adaptations and intelligence. Whether dinosaurs could have produced a species as intelligent as modern humans is unknown, but their continued evolution would have undoubtedly led to even more remarkable diversity and specialization across the Mesozoic landscape. How did gradual climate change over millions of years weaken dinosaur populations before the final extinction event? Long before the asteroid impact that caused the mass extinction 66 million years ago, gradual climate change over millions of years likely weakened dinosaur populations and set the stage for their eventual downfall. Throughout the Mesozoic era, Earth's climate underwent significant shifts, and while dinosaurs were remarkably adaptable, these slow but persistent changes may have stressed ecosystems, reducing biodiversity and making some species more vulnerable to extinction. During the late Cretaceous period, approximately 100 to 66 million years ago, Earth's climate was undergoing a transition. The planet was generally warmer and more humid during much of the Mesozoic, but by the late Cretaceous there were signs of global cooling. This cooling was likely caused by the gradual breakup of the supercontinent Pangaea, which altered ocean currents and wind patterns, leading to changes in temperature and precipitation. As tectonic plates shifted, new mountain ranges formed, changing the distribution of heat across the planet and influencing weather patterns. One of the key ways climate change weakened dinosaur populations was through disruptions to their food supply. Dinosaurs, particularly large herbivores, relied heavily on stable and abundant sources of vegetation. As climates cooled and seasonal variations became more pronounced, some regions would have experienced longer or harsher winters, reducing the availability of plants. Dinosaurs that had adapted to warm, stable climates may have struggled to cope with these fluctuations, particularly those that depended on tropical or subtropical environments. The gradual decline of certain plant species, especially conifers and cycads, could have triggered food shortages for herbivorous dinosaurs, indirectly affecting carnivorous dinosaurs that relied on them as prey. Additionally, climate change may have caused sea levels to fluctuate, affecting coastal ecosystems where many dinosaurs lived. During warmer periods, higher sea levels expanded shallow marine environments, creating rich habitats for a variety of marine life. However, as sea levels began to fall due to cooling, coastal areas would have shrunk, reducing the availability of habitats for both marine and terrestrial species. Dinosaurs that lived near these coastal regions or depended on them for resources would have been forced to migrate or adapt to new environments, increasing competition for limited resources. This long-term environmental stress likely weakened ecosystems, making them more fragile. Fossil evidence shows that biodiversity among dinosaurs was already declining during the late Cretaceous, long before the asteroid struck. Some scientists believe that the loss of species diversity may have been caused, at least in part, by climate change. Fewer species mean less ecological redundancy, When one species goes extinct, it can no longer perform its role in the ecosystem, whether as a predator, prey, or plant consumer. This domino effect would have made entire ecosystems more vulnerable to collapse, especially in the face of additional stresses. Volcanic activity also played a role in exacerbating climate change during the late Cretaceous. The eruption of the Deccan Traps in what is now India released massive amounts of sulfur dioxide and carbon dioxide into the atmosphere, contributing to both short-term cooling and long-term warming. These rapid climate fluctuations would have made it even more difficult for dinosaur populations to adapt. Acid rain from the volcanic eruptions would have further damaged plant life, adding another layer of environmental stress for herbivorous dinosaurs. The combination of cooler global temperatures, shrinking habitats, and fluctuating sea levels likely made dinosaur populations more fragmented and isolated. When populations become isolated, they are more susceptible to extinction due to inbreeding, limited genetic diversity, and reduced access to resources. This isolation, paired with environmental stress, may have driven some dinosaur species into extinction even before the asteroid impact. In conclusion, gradual climate change over millions of years likely weakened dinosaur populations by disrupting ecosystems, reducing biodiversity, and forcing species to adapt to new and often harsh conditions. While dinosaurs had survived earlier climate shifts, the combination of these long-term changes with volcanic activity likely left many species vulnerable and unable to recover when the asteroid struck, ultimately contributing to their extinction. Could dinosaurs have adapted to survive if the climate had shifted more slowly, or were they doomed regardless of the asteroid impact? If the climate had shifted more slowly during the late Cretaceous, there is a possibility that some species of dinosaurs could have adapted to survive in a changing world, just as they had done throughout the Mesozoic era. Dinosaurs had already demonstrated remarkable adaptability over their 160 million year reign, evolving to thrive in a wide variety of environments, from tropical forests and deserts to polar regions. However, whether a slower climate shift could have prevented their extinction entirely is debatable, as the multiple environmental pressures leading up to the asteroid impact suggest that some dinosaur groups were already struggling. Dinosaurs had evolved to survive numerous climate changes before the Cretaceous, including fluctuations in temperature and sea levels. Some species, such as Lear in polar regions, had adapted to long periods of darkness and cold during the polar winters by developing large eyes to see in low-light conditions. Dinosaurs were also incredibly diverse, occupying various ecological niches as herbivores, carnivores, and omnivores. Their ability to evolve specialized traits, such as the long necks of sauropods for reaching high vegetation, or the advanced dental batteries of hadrosaurs for grinding tough plants, demonstrates their potential for long-term adaptability. This evolutionary flexibility suggests that, given more time, some dinosaur species could have continued to adapt to gradual climate shifts. For example, if global temperatures had cooled more slowly, dinosaurs might have evolved new physical traits or behaviors to cope with the changing climate. Herbivorous dinosaurs could have developed more efficient digestive systems to extract nutrients from different plant species that thrived in cooler or more arid conditions. Similarly, carnivorous dinosaurs could have adapted their hunting strategies to target new prey species that evolved in response to the changing environment. Dinosaurs with feathers or insulating body coverings, such as small theropods like Velociraptor, might have been able to adapt to colder climates by developing better thermoregulation, similar to modern birds. Moreover, if sea levels had risen and fallen more gradually, dinosaurs might have been able to migrate or evolve to occupy new habitats as coastal environments changed. Species that lived near coastlines or relied on marine resources could have shifted inland or adapted to different food sources. Gradual environmental changes would have given dinosaur populations more time to move, evolve, and find new ecological niches, potentially allowing them to avoid extinction. However, even if dinosaurs had adapted to slower climate change, they may have still been doomed by other factors. For one, volcanic activity from the Deccan Traps released large amounts of volcanic gases that disrupted the climate in ways that were difficult for species to adapt to. The rapid shifts between cooling, caused by sulfur dioxide, and warming from carbon dioxide would have stressed ecosystems and potentially caused extinctions even without an asteroid impact. Additionally, the large size of many dinosaur species, particularly sauropods, required vast amounts of food, water, and space. In a world where ecosystems were gradually shrinking or changing due to climate stress, it might have been difficult for these large dinosaurs to adapt fast enough. Finally, the asteroid impact itself would have created conditions that were almost impossible for any species, including dinosaurs, to survive. The immediate effects of the asteroid, fires, tsunamis, and the impact winter caused by debris blocking sunlight, would have dramatically reduced global temperatures and cut off the food supply for herbivores and carnivores alike. Even well-adapted dinosaurs, those that might have survived slower climate changes, would have struggled to cope with the catastrophic environmental collapse caused by the asteroid. The combination of the asteroid and volcanic activity likely overwhelmed ecosystems, leaving little chance for recovery. While some dinosaurs might have been able to adapt to slower climate changes, the multiple environmental pressures leading up to the asteroid impact, as well as the catastrophic effects of the impact itself, likely doomed many species regardless. Dinosaurs' extinction was the result of a perfect storm of environmental disasters that no species, no matter how adaptable, could have fully survived. What factors made Tyrannosaurus rex the apex predator of the late Cretaceous, and how did it outcompete other large carnivores? Tyrannosaurus rex, one of the most iconic dinosaurs, dominated the ecosystems of the late Cretaceous as the apex predator. Several key factors contributed to its dominance, allowing it to outcompete other large carnivores and maintain its place at the top of the food chain. These factors include its massive size, powerful bite, sensory abilities, and specialized adaptations that gave it a unique edge over its competitors. One of the most obvious factors that made T-Rex the apex predator was its sheer size. Fully grown, T-Rex could reach lengths of up to 12 meters, 40 feet, and weigh between 7 and 9 tons, making it one of the largest land predators of all time. Its massive size alone was a significant advantage, enabling it to take down large prey animals, including ceratopsians like Triceratops and hadrosaurs like Edmontosaurus. With its size, T-Rex could overpower most other predators, allowing it to claim territory and resources with little opposition. T-Rex's powerful bite was another key factor in its success. It had one of the strongest bite forces of any known terrestrial animal, estimated at over 12,000 pounds per square inch, PSI. This bite force allowed T-Rex to crush bone, a rare ability among predators. Its teeth, some of which were over 30 centimeters, 12 inches long, were not just sharp, but also robust, designed to withstand the forces needed to break through thick bones and consume nearly all parts of its prey. This ability to crush bones and extract marrow provided T-Rex with access to additional nutrients that many other carnivores could not reach, giving it a nutritional advantage. This specialized feeding behavior allowed T-Rex to scavenge efficiently as well, ensuring it could capitalize on carcasses even after other predators had fed. In addition to its physical power, T-Rex had highly developed sensory abilities that contributed to its effectiveness as a predator. Its large, forward-facing eyes gave it binocular vision, allowing for depth perception and making it a highly accurate predator when targeting moving prey. This advanced vision was complemented by an exceptional sense of smell, with its olfactory bulbs being among the largest of any known dinosaur. This sense of smell would have allowed T-Rex to detect prey or carrion from long distances, making it an efficient hunter and scavenger. The combination of sharp vision and a keen sense of smell enabled T-Rex to locate prey across its territory, whether hunting live animals or following the scent of decaying carcasses. T-Rex also displayed several adaptations that allowed it to outcompete other large carnivores. While some earlier theropods, like Allosaurus and Giganotosaurus, relied on speed and slashing attacks, T-Rex was built for power and endurance. Its muscular legs allowed it to move at respectable speeds for short bursts, but it likely employed ambush tactics rather than long chases. Its strong, barrel-shaped body and robust neck muscles enabled it to deliver devastating bites to prey. While earlier theropods had more gracile builds designed for agility, T-Rex's heavy-set frame made it better suited for close combat encounters with large, dangerous herbivores. Moreover, T-Rex's dominance was partly due to the decline or absence of other large carnivores in its ecosystem. By the time T-Rex appeared, some of its potential competitors, such as Giganotosaurus or Carcharodontosaurus, had already disappeared from North America. As a result, T-Rex likely had little direct competition from other large theropods, allowing it to occupy the role of top predator without significant rivalry. Its size, strength, and adaptability in both hunting and scavenging ensured that it could exploit nearly every available food source. T-Rex's combination of massive size, bone-crushing bite force, keen senses, and the lack of major competition from other predators made it the undisputed apex predator of the late Cretaceous. Its specialized hunting abilities, adaptability, and physical power allowed it to dominate its environment and outcompete other large carnivores, ensuring its place at the top of the food chain until the mass extinction event. How did the hunting strategies of T-Rex differ from earlier theropods, and what do we know about its role in the food chain? Tyrannosaurus rex's hunting strategies differed significantly from those of earlier theropods in ways that reflected its unique adaptations and role in the food chain. While earlier theropods like Allosaurus and Giganotosaurus relied on speed, slashing attacks, and pack hunting, T-Rex employed a more brute force approach, utilizing its size, powerful bite, and endurance to dominate its prey and ecosystem. These differences in hunting techniques and adaptations allowed T-Rex to carve out a distinctive niche as an apex predator and possibly as a scavenger in the late Cretaceous. One of the most significant differences between T-Rex and earlier theropods was its reliance on a bone-crushing bite. While earlier theropods like Allosaurus used sharp, serrated teeth to slice through flesh, their bites were not strong enough to crush bones. Allosaurus, for example, is thought to have used its upper jaw almost like a hatchet, swinging down with its teeth to tear into prey, often focusing on soft tissue areas. In contrast, T-Rex's teeth were thick, conical, and robust, designed to endure tremendous pressure. Its jaw muscles were incredibly powerful, and with a bite force exceeding 12,000 pounds per square inch, T-Rex could crush through the bones of its prey, allowing it to extract marrow and consume nearly every part of its meal. This ability gave it a distinct advantage over earlier theropods, enabling it to exploit carcasses more thoroughly and waste less of the available food. T-Rex also employed a different strategy when it came to hunting large herbivores. Earlier, theropods often relied on pack hunting to bring down large prey. Fossil evidence, including trackways, suggests that some theropods like Allosaurus may have hunted in groups to target massive prey like Stegosaurus or sauropods. However, there is less evidence to suggest that T-Rex hunted in packs. Its size and strength meant that it likely hunted alone, using its powerful bite and crushing jaws to take down large herbivores like Triceratops or Edmontosaurus. In solo combat, T-Rex's strategy was more about overpowering its prey with raw strength rather than coordinated group attacks. T-Rex's hunting style may also have involved ambush tactics rather than long chases. Its large size and powerful legs would have allowed it to cover ground quickly in short bursts, but it was likely not as fast or agile as some of the earlier, more gracile theropods. Instead, T-Rex may have relied on stealth and ambush, using the element of surprise to close in on prey before delivering a fatal bite. Once it had latched onto its prey, T-Rex's bone-crushing jaws would have made it nearly impossible for its victim to escape. While T-Rex was undoubtedly a fearsome predator, it also played a significant role as a scavenger in the food chain. Fossil evidence, including bite marks on the bones of dead dinosaurs, suggests that T-Rex scavenged from carcasses as well as hunted live prey. Its keen sense of smell, comparable to modern vultures, would have allowed it to detect carrion from great distances. This ability to switch between hunting and scavenging gave T-Rex a unique advantage, allowing it to capitalize on every available food source in its environment. This versatility in feeding behavior suggests that T-Rex was not just a top predator, but also an efficient opportunist, capable of surviving on a wide range of resources. In the food chain of the late Cretaceous, T-Rex occupied the highest tier as the apex predator, meaning it had no natural predators. Its main competition came not from other large carnivores, but from smaller theropods like Dromaeosaurus and scavengers like Quetzalcoatlus, a large pterosaur. However, due to its size and powerful bite, T-Rex was able to dominate carcasses and claim kills, even if it hadn't made the kill itself. Smaller predators and scavengers would have been forced to wait until T-Rex had finished before they could feed on the remains. T-Rex's hunting strategies, which focused on bone-crushing bites, solo ambush tactics, and opportunistic scavenging, set it apart from earlier theropods that relied on group hunting and speed. Its role as the apex predator and top scavenger ensured that it was at the pinnacle of the food chain in the late Cretaceous, dominating its ecosystem until the asteroid impact brought an end to the age of dinosaurs. How did the asteroid impact that struck the Yucatan Peninsula trigger a mass extinction, and what evidence supports this theory? The asteroid impact that struck the Yucatan Peninsula approximately 66 million years ago is widely believed to have triggered the mass extinction event that wiped out around 75% of Earth's species, including the non-avian dinosaurs. This catastrophic event marks the boundary between the Cretaceous and Paleogene periods, commonly referred to as the KPG boundary. The impact is considered one of the most devastating events in Earth's history, with profound and immediate effects that drastically altered the planet's climate and ecosystems. The theory of an asteroid impact being responsible for this mass extinction, known as the Alvarez hypothesis, is supported by multiple lines of evidence including geological, chemical, and fossil records. The discovery of the Chicxulub crater located near the Yucatan Peninsula in Mexico provides the most direct evidence of the asteroid impact. This crater, which is more than 150 kilometers, 93 miles, in diameter, is the scar left by a massive asteroid estimated to be 10 to 15 kilometers, 6 to 9 miles, in diameter. Geological dating shows that the crater was formed approximately 66 million years ago, coinciding precisely with the mass extinction event. The energy released by the impact is thought to have been equivalent to billions of atomic bombs detonating simultaneously, causing widespread devastation on an unimaginable scale. Another key piece of evidence supporting the asteroid impact theory is the global layer of sediment rich in iridium, a rare element that is much more abundant in asteroids and comets than in the Earth's crust. This iridium-rich layer, known as the KPG boundary, has been found at multiple locations around the world and marks the point in the fossil record where dinosaur remains abruptly disappear. The concentration of iridium in this layer suggests that it was deposited by the debris ejected into the atmosphere after the asteroid impact. As this material spread globally, it created a thin but widespread marker in the geologic record, providing a timeline for the events that followed. Further supporting the asteroid impact hypotheses is the presence of shocked quartz and microtectites, microscopic glassy particles formed when terrestrial rock is vaporized by the intense heat and pressure of an impact. These materials have been found in sediments from the same time period as the KPG boundary, further indicating that a massive collision took place. The heat from the impact would have caused these materials to melt and form under extreme conditions, solidifying the evidence for a large extraterrestrial body striking Earth. In addition to geological and chemical evidence, the fossil record provides clues about the sudden and widespread nature of the extinction event. Fossil data show a sharp and dramatic loss of biodiversity at the KPG boundary, particularly among non-avian dinosaurs, marine reptiles, and other large animals. This abrupt disappearance aligns with the timing of the asteroid impact, supporting the idea that the impact triggered a rapid global extinction. What were the immediate and long-term environmental effects of the asteroid impact, and how did they contribute to the collapse of global ecosystems? The asteroid impact that struck the Yucatan Peninsula set off a cascade of immediate and long-term environmental effects that led to the collapse of global ecosystems. The devastation unfolded in several stages, starting with the impact itself and extending over months, years, and even centuries as Earth's climate and ecosystems struggled to recover. The initial impact caused a series of cataclysmic events that devastated the surrounding region. Upon collision, the asteroid would have vaporized a large portion of the Earth's crust, sending a massive amount of debris, rock, and dust into the atmosphere. The energy released from the impact caused intense shock waves, massive earthquakes, and tsunamis that spread across the planet, affecting both land and sea ecosystems. The shock waves from the impact likely triggered volcanic activity in regions far from the impact site, further exacerbating the destruction. One of the most immediate and devastating effects of the impact was the ignition of wildfires on a global scale. The heat from the impact, combined with the massive amount of material ejected into the atmosphere, likely caused firestorms that burned vast swathes of forest and grassland. These wildfires would have released massive amounts of carbon dioxide and soot into the atmosphere, contributing to the subsequent environmental crisis. One of the most significant long-term consequences of the asteroid impact was the so-called impact winter. The dust and debris ejected into the atmosphere formed a thick global cloud that blocked sunlight from reaching Earth's surface. This blockage likely lasted for months, if not years, plunging the planet into darkness. The loss of sunlight disrupted photosynthesis, the process by which plants produce energy, leading to the collapse of primary production in ecosystems. Plants, which form the base of the food chain, would have died off rapidly, causing a domino effect that impacted herbivores and, in turn, carnivores. The sudden disruption of the food chain was particularly catastrophic for dinosaurs, whose large size and high energy demands would have made them especially vulnerable to food shortages. The lack of sunlight also caused global temperatures to plummet. This sudden cooling, combined with the loss of plant life, led to the extinction of many species that could not adapt to the harsh freezing conditions. Marine ecosystems were similarly affected as the cooling disrupted ocean currents and nutrient cycles. Plankton, which are the foundation of marine food webs, were particularly affected by the lack of sunlight. With plankton populations collapsing, marine ecosystems suffered catastrophic declines. This, in turn, impacted all levels of marine life, including fish, marine reptiles like mosasaurs, and other sea creatures that depended on plankton for survival, either directly or indirectly. In addition to the impact winter, the asteroid impact likely caused a sharp increase in atmospheric sulfur dioxide, which was released from the vaporized rock at the impact site. This sulfur dioxide mixed with water vapor in the atmosphere to produce sulfuric acid, leading to acid rain on a global scale. Acid rain would have further devastated plant life on land, leaching nutrients from the soil and making it even more difficult for vegetation to recover. In the oceans, the increased acidity caused by dissolved sulfuric acid would have significantly altered the chemistry of seawater, leading to ocean acidification. This would have had a particularly devastating effect on marine organisms with calcium carbonate shells, such as ammonites and certain types of plankton, which are highly sensitive to changes in pH levels. The collapse of these organisms, which formed the base of the oceanic food web, contributed to a widespread extinction of marine species, particularly those that relied on these creatures for food. While the impact winter caused a sudden and dramatic cooling of Earth's climate, it was followed by a long-term warming trend. As soot, dust, and aerosols eventually settled from the atmosphere, carbon dioxide, CO2 levels rose due to the massive amounts of CO2 released by the impact, the wildfires, and the potential volcanic activity that followed. This led to a greenhouse effect, where Earth's atmosphere trapped more heat, causing global temperatures to rise significantly. This rapid shift from a cold, dark world to a warm, greenhouse-like climate created extreme environmental stress that many species could not survive. The combination of cooling followed by global warming likely destabilized many ecosystems. Organisms that had barely survived the cooling period now faced a rapidly warming world, with extreme temperature fluctuations causing additional stress on biodiversity. The long-term warming would have caused shifts in habitats, rising sea levels, and the further collapse of species that could not adapt to the rapidly changing climate. The combination of these environmental effects, blocked sunlight, global cooling, acid rain, ocean acidification, wildfires, and subsequent global warming, led to the collapse of ecosystems around the world. The interconnectedness of food webs meant that the loss of one species often triggered the collapse of many others. Herbivores starved as plant life dwindled, and carnivores starved in turn as their prey populations declined. Marine ecosystems experienced similar breakdowns, with the collapse of plankton and other foundational species leading to the extinction of many marine reptiles, fish, and invertebrates. The extinction event was especially severe for large animals, which typically require more food and stable environmental conditions to survive. Dinosaurs, which had ruled the Earth for over 160 million years, were particularly vulnerable due to their large size and specialized ecological roles. Non-avian dinosaurs went extinct, while some smaller species of theropods, the ancestors of modern birds, managed to survive. Mammals, which were generally smaller, more adaptable, and capable of hiding in burrows or living off limited resources, fared better, eventually taking advantage of the ecological niches left vacant by the dinosaurs. The asteroid impact that struck the Yucatan Peninsula set off a series of immediate and long-term environmental effects that drastically altered the Earth's ecosystems. The initial destruction caused by the impact, followed by the impact winter, acid rain, ocean acidification, and global warming, created conditions that were too extreme for many species to survive. This combination of catastrophic events led to one of the most significant mass extinctions in Earth's history, marking the end of the age of dinosaurs and paving the way for the rise of mammals and, eventually, humans. The evidence for this asteroid impact and its devastating effects is found in geological markers, fossil records, and the global distribution of impact-related materials, all of which support the theory that this single event played a pivotal role in reshaping life on Earth. On Earth. On Earth. On Earth. On Earth. On Earth. On Earth.